Don't get snarky with me. I'm just trying to help with solutions. We're at 178. We're like 22 away from 200, Justin. I feel like we can do it. I feel like, although your birthday's coming up fast, but I feel like we can do it. Technically, we're 22 away. We are very close. I mean, that's going to be a reward, like anyway, whenever. But I'm just really, there would be something satisfying about it happening by your birthday. Can we hear us?
Technically, we're 22 away.
Okay, I hear me.
You're very close. I mean, that's going to be a reward, like anyway, whenever. But I'm just really, there would be something satisfying about it happening by your birthday.
I'm not hearing
Can we hear us? Okay, I hear me.
I'm not hearing you.
You're very close. I mean, it's going to be
Okay, now it's going to start repeating me again.
There we go. What about now? Can you hear me now?
Now it's going to start repeating me again.
We have to give it a second to catch up.
That should do it.
The like 12-second delay.
What about now?
Yeah, I think I hear you, but I'm way louder than you.
Yeah.
Can my gain go any lower? My gain is like at nothing now. I've turned gain off.
That's okay. Hold
It's
on.
like all the way down.
I think I hear you, but I'm way louder than you.
Oh, I'm on the...
Can my gain go any lower? Gain is like at nothing. I've turned gain off. That's okay.
Yeah,
It's
you're
like
really
all the way down.
quiet.
I think you're just really loud for some reason. Because...
I can always hear me, but like I had my sound at full and I could barely hear you.
Interesting. Don't talk.
I think it's because
Shut up.
Yeah, I think I hear you, but I'm way louder than you. Can my gain go any lower? Gain is like at nothing. I've turned gain off. That's okay.
Actually, I sound fine on mine.
Yeah, to be fair, it might just be my tablet speakers aren't very good.
That is certainly possible. Okay. So, let's get off of this. Let's get off of that.
As long as it's good
nonsense.
as long as it's good on like everybody else's end of things, that's all that really matters.
I assume it is. Okay. Okay. Let's fucking
Let's do this.
go. There we go. All I want to say is that they don't really care about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This podcast is brought to you by the Arte Media Pantheon. Please head to artemedia.org to see all kinds of podcasts from our great friends. And if you'd like to start your own podcast, they can provide you with the tools and resources to do so there. So head to artemedia.org. That's ARETE media.org. On with the show, Jordan.
Just the two of us.
There,
We can make it if we try. Sorry, go ahead. Yes, I'm here. Hi.
I, like a fool, didn't hit the timer, so now we're a fraction of a second behind.
What a fool you were!
But what a fool I am! Welcome to the Spurr of the Moment podcast, everybody.
Don't worry. He'll be punished later.
I shall be flogged publicly and without mercy. Welcome to the Spurr of the Moment podcast, everybody. I'm your host. I'm Justin Spurr. and I'm joined as always by my co-host. It's the incomparable Jordan. Everybody, Jordan, do a little wave. We're doing a little wave. The Spotify listeners don't see that he's doing the Queen wave. He's doing it on today's show. As always, we begin with the news. I got so much news, including Netflix saved Sesame Street. I've been saving that story all week. It's been sitting in my news files.
Pantheon podcast says, "Will Justin be punished live on air?"
No,
Perhaps
if we get to 200 subscribers, I will, because I will eat
by the end of this stream. If we hit 200 by the end of this stream, maybe.
No, I can't. I don't have any serrano peppers here. I have to go buy one.
I mean, no, that's the reward for hitting 200. Punishment is an entirely different thing. We'll figure something out.
That involves Morning Stars. Anyway, they're making a Whac-A-Mole movie. We're going to talk about whatever the hell the Zootopia 2 trailer was.
Whac-A-Mole, the arcade game?
They're making an Elden Ring movie. Shazam is a big Trump supporter, and he wondered why his movie did bad. There's just a lot. There's a lot of stories, okay? There's a lot of news. Let's start with Sesame Street.
Pantheon podcast thinks I should flog you.
All right. That will never happen. Anyway.
It could. If they hit 200 before the end of this stream.
No. I mean, all right.
It could. It could happen.
All right.
It could be the thing.
All right. Jordan. I don't know if you knew this, but Netflix or Sesame Street, they were in a bad way. HBO did not renew their contract. And
I heard that Netflix bought the rights to Sesame Street, which I will say kind of scares me because that means that it'll only be around for 2 seasons and then Netflix will cancel it.
How long have you been sitting on that joke? Like
since I heard the news.
I know, same. I saw like 3 different people who said the same thing, and it was like, gotta be worried that it'll last for 2 seasons and they'll cancel it. But the backstory is that HBO didn't renew their deal with Sesame Street, and they were in kind of limbo. They didn't know where they were gonna go. HBO did. Oh, and Trump and not funding PBS. The big concern was PBS was not being funded, so Sesame Street was gonna. Someone made it. I don't know if it was the actual Elmo account or if it was just like a meme, like a Photoshop meme. But someone made a really depressing meme of Elmo on LinkedIn, being like, "I needs a new job. We've been working in the same place for 37 years. Thanks, everybody." That's really upsetting.
Yeah.
Yes. Netflix, and it's really funny because like doing this, you learn that people don't know how to read, or they don't read the shit that they. I mean, we've learned that plenty doing this, but you really do learn that people don't.
They read head titles.
They just read headlines, yeah, and so people were like, "No, it's going to Netflix. No one's gonna watch it." And they did the same shit with when it went to HBO. We're like, nobody's gonna be able to watch it because it's going to be locked away on a streaming site that people have to pay for, and that defeats the entire purpose of Sesame Street, and blah, 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 blah. And that's not true. Because if you read the actual deal, it's actually a better deal than HBO. Because the HBO deal was, it went on HBO first, and then after a certain amount of time, it aired on PBS. The deal with Netflix is its day and date. So it will air on PBS, and then it will air on Netflix at the same time, new episodes, as well as the entire back catalog is going to go to Netflix apparently, which is
interesting,
which is crazy.
Isn't that like been on the air since like the 70s?
Yeah. Well, I know
isn't that like
the older shit they
isn't
rebranded.
Isn't that like 50 years worth of content?
I think typically
if they put the entire back catalog.
I don't think they do the really old stuff because they and also. Yeah, I don't think they do the really old stuff. Like that's referred to as classic Sesame Street. But yeah, it will still be on PBS. Is the point? It will still.
So
it will still be there for everybody to love. It'll still be there.
I guess the thing that I'm curious about is it just the show, or does that come with all the Sesame Street things that they've done that are movies, like Elmo and Grouchland,
God, I
or
hope so. That would be neat.
follow that bird, or like all of those ones. There's a bunch of them, right?
Yeah, that would be neat. I'd be down. I'd be down.
Does Netflix also get those?
Right? I don't know. Yeah, I honestly don't know. Yeah, and it's fairly soon too that they're gonna start popping up on there. But the thing I learned this week, from a video that I saw on TikTok,
Because I love me some classic. I love me some classic Sesame Street.
Right? But the
I
thing,
grew up
I
with that
learned,
shit.
is that Sesame Street is not funded by PBS. It's self-funded. It's funded by donors and the Sesame Street Workshop, who funds it. So it even if it didn't go, Netflix would have been fine. And a lot of people were raising all these alarms that were ultimately, which I guess is why Sesame Street never seemed that worried, because they knew they'd be fine. It would just be about, I mean, they're an institution. For them, it's just about, like, I love them because they can run endlessly for all time. I mean, you just kind of got to train them to be, clearly, because they've swapped out Muppet performers over and over again over the years, and the kids don't fucking notice. We do. No. The kids don't notice, and that's all that matters.
You just have to make
some of them are good.
You just have to make it where they're close enough.
Right? For, like, every person who doesn't like wrong-sounding Kermit, like, Elmo, you wouldn't know that Elmo got swapped out. I do. I notice a slight difference because I got really into learning about Clash, but that's only because I've listened to a lot of Elmo.
I was gonna say, but you're weird. You're a weird guy. So
I've listened to a lot of.
You're the outlier.
So I can hear a slight difference, but it's pretty.
But Kermit I can tell.
Kermit, and there's certain ones Kermit. I notice Big Bird, because Big Bird is also Eric Vogel. I notice Ernie. All the ones that Steve Whitmire used to do. I noticed. But, like, Eric Jacobson, the guy who took over for Frank Oz, is phenomenal. Like, all of his like, he's the one who took over Fozzie. Like, he's been Fozzie for a while now. Like, he was Fozzie.
And Fozzie sounds right.
He's Piggy. Like, he's nailing Piggy. And I just don't think, like, I think they're really trying to, everyone's like, why are the Muppets failing? Why are the Muppets not succeeding with Disney in the way that, like, Sesame Street and Fraggle Rock is apparently wildly successful over on HBO? And they swapped the voices. I think it's just because Kermit is so just not right. And I think there are so many better voice matches out there that are closer. And I think they've just doubled and quadrupled down on him when they should have ditched him early on. Sorry, he's very good at other characters. He's just not good at Kermit.
It's just every time I heard him, he just sounded like he was what's his name? The world's most evil frog or whatever. Constantine.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounded like Constantine took out Kermit and silently replaced him.
Exactly.
And like that would be a funny bit is if they had it where it's like Kermit, like a new Kermit voice came out now, and you found out that Constantine had been replacing him for years, and they turned it into a bit. Yeah. That would be funny, like a Kermit that just sounds like better and sounds more like what we would all expect him to. Comes out and is like, you people didn't notice that I'd been replaced for years. Like, what the heck?
That would be
and made a joke of it.
That'd be to do a sequel to Muppets Most Wanted and be like, yeah, this is our soft launch of the new Kermit voice, because it's just there's so many comments that are like, he just sounds wrong, and he's the only one. He's the only one who gets ribbited.
So you know what, Disney? Give me a little bit of money and that idea is yours.
Right, you can have it. You can have that one.
I'm not expensive. I don't require much. Just a small. It's a pittance for you.
Just $1 million. $1 million. All right, I'll do it for you. You can have it. Jordan, yeah, they're making a.
You're holding out, man. I do it for $500,000.
Yeah, Disney can afford it. Jordan, they're making a Whac-A-Mole movie. It's a movie about
so you mentioned that. So like the arcade game.
Yeah, the arcade game.
I don't get it. I don't.
The only plot I will accept for a Whac-A-Mole movie is just that episode of King of the Hill where Hank thinks he's a Whac-A-Mole. Where it's like it's about a little Whac-A-Mole who's afraid to go up through the hole, and he has to be encouraged by Tom Brokaw. Another character, but that's the plot of it. Like they're all on
I
their own
don't-
things, and it's about like you all want to go up through the thing, and then there's one he doesn't want to go through the hole, and he has to learn to accept that he has to go through the hole.
It sounds stupid.
That's the only
What is
plot-
this movie? What is it? Do we know what this is even about? What are they? I don't
No,
get it. What
it's just
are we?
announced it. It's just an idea at this point.
That's like if you came to me and were like, yeah, they're making a Snakes and Ladders movie.
I'm sure
What?
there's
What the
probably-
what?
I mean, Snakes and Ladders is obviously easy, Jordan. I mean, you make it, it's a metaphor. The snakes and ladders are not literally snakes and ladders. They're metaphors. For like a home reno movie where there's like a snake that breaks in or something. No, that wasn't good.
And keeps making him fall off every time he climbs up a ladder.
Right. All I know is all I can picture is the scene. It's Adam Sandler's in it. Obviously, it's Adam Sandler or Jack Black.
Of course
no,
it is.
It's probably Jack Black if I'm being honest. It's either Jack Black or Adam Sandler. And there's just the scene where he goes to climb on the ladder, and he the more I think this out, the more it is Adam Sandler because he puts his hand on the. Puts his hand on the ladder, but it's actually a snake, and he's like, "Whoa, as he falls off the ladder.
I'm just envisioning just
It's not supposed
See,
to be a ladder.
See, I kind of picture it as an animated one, and I just picture a scene where and they're anthropomorphic snakes who are screwing with this guy, and I just see a scene where they're like, all right, everybody, hold together, and it's a bunch of snakes which are tied to, which are holding themselves together in the shape of a ladder, and he goes to climb on it, and it just falls apart, and he's covered in snakes.
I see it in my brain. It's like it's basically not click.
And the guy the guy is trying to do home renos, and it's just the snakes keep messing with him.
What the video game one that Adam Sandler made that was bad. Pixels. To me, it's just Pixels, where it's a Happy Madison movie. Like Kevin James is there, and the snakes are obviously badly CGI'd. Like that's what it is in my brain. Like Jordan, you're picturing this movie as being good. In my brain, it's bad. It's a bad movie.
Trying to make it good is more the accurate statement. It's never. I don't see a world where it ever is good, but yeah, I don't. You say Whac-A-Mole, and my brain does not compute. I don't. But I mean, they made a battleship or
I know,
what
it's
is
also
it?
terrible. They made a battleship.
Yeah.
Movie. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was a good.
So
it was a bad movie.
Okay.
You can make a
I
movie
guess
out
we'll
of
have to
anything,
pay.
but speaking of
we'll have
making a
to
movie
pay
out of
attention.
anything,
We'll have to pay attention to that one, and
they can make a movie about anything. Speaking about making a movie about anything, so do you remember how a while ago we talked about how Michael Bay was making a Skibidi toilet movie, and we were all like, "There's no way that's not fake, right?"
Skibidi Dibbidi toilet.
I don't know what a Skibidi toilet is. All I know is it makes me mad.
I just know it's a YouTube thing.
It's just a YouTube thing, but apparently, Jordan, production has begun on the Michael Bay Skibidi toilet movie. He's been working on it since last summer, and apparently his team includes Academy Award nominated production designer Jeffrey Beecroft, who made 12 Monkeys, Transformers, and A Quiet Place. 3-time award-winning VFX director Bob Legato, Titanic, Avatar, Hugo, and The Jungle Book, and Invisible Narratives is producing, developing, and financing the project. I don't know if he's directing it or just producing it. I don't even really know what Skibidi Toilet is. But they're making that movie, Jordan.
Okay, so I'm these last two news articles I think have broken me, Justin, because I think I've gotten old. What the fuck is a Skibidi Toilet, and why are so many well-respected people making it?
I don't know.
And a Whac-A-Mole movie? Why? Who? Why? No. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Get the fuck out. Stop it.
Yep, that's happening. Jordan, I wasn't going to talk about this trailer, but I only chose to because there was a couple comments that were really funny on it. And it's the Zootopia 2 trailer. And there's two comments.
Oh, the teaser one that's like 2 minutes long?
There's two comments that made me laugh. Number one was, do we have a trailer? Well, we have concepts of a trailer. That made me laugh. And then the other one was, the snake's going to be voiced by Awkwafina, isn't it? That made me laugh.
Yeah.
I was like, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, the trailer
Probably.
gives you nothing. Apparently, it's the plot of this. I was just reading the article while we were crashing out over Skibidi Toilet. I was reading the article a little bit, and apparently it's they go undercover to investigate this snake. And it's about the snake, which is dumb. I liked our idea better, where it was about interdepartmental police corruption. So that's way more interesting.
I mean, yeah, but the world can't handle deep things like that, and just needs to surface level.
And they need an Aquafina. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still passively excited for it.
Hey, it might not be Aquafina. It might be someone else. Zendaya. It might be
Oh, it
Zendaya.
could be Zendaya. That is true. It might also be Zendaya, but
She's also big in Hollywood.
Awkwafina.
I
say
don't
that
know.
not knowing if she's actually been cast in it. That might actually be Aquafina, and that might not have been a joke.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Too lazy to look it up.
So that's funny. Some weeks when you're going through news, there's these little articles that aren't really news so much, but I always find like, they'll be kind of interesting conversations. So there's a bunch about Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool. One of the interesting bits is apparently originally, and having that it makes sense. Apparently originally Deadpool was gonna die at the end of that movie, and that makes sense. And that feels like a last change, because that movie is completely set up, for him to be dead at the end of that movie. And it feels like
it comes across like last minute. Disney was like, no, keep him alive. We might shove him in that Infinity Wars thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the article said. They wanted to, and then Disney was like, no, he's too much fun of a character to not have around in reserve in case we want him. But yeah, you could tell, because he says he was going to be atomized. So I'm guessing in that scene, probably him and Wolverine would have been atomized. Would have been my guess.
Probably.
And would have been like a noble sacrifice thing.
Well, that version of them would have anyway, but it's a multiverse, well, that's why I don't really get why you couldn't have, because it's a multiverse. You could have just had another version of him,
right? Just go for
another version of
him,
another version of him, which is almost exactly identical, with one small thing that could make him different, like he has a missing finger,
right, or like a scar on his his left cheek that you'll never see,
or something like that.
So apparently, Ryan Reynolds. See, the thing about Ryan Reynolds right now is nobody likes him because he did something with some guy named Baldoni. I don't know. Everyone was mad at him and his wife for some reason. I don't know. I don't fully understand why.
There was some sort of controversy of some
he's
sort.
Some sort of drama. So he's maybe canceled. Like, people go through this thing on the internet where they just decide that they hate someone even though they liked them like months ago. So like, despite the fact that, like, when Deadpool and Wolverine was coming out, everyone loved Ryan Reynolds and he can do no wrong. Everyone hates him now. And it's the same thing with Jack Black, where everyone loved Jack Black when he was doing Peaches, but now he's doing Lava Chicken, and everyone's like, oh, that Jack Black is so tiresome. And you're like, what? You guys loved him like 3 months ago. Piss off.
Pick a lane.
But yeah, he wants to make an R-rated Star Wars movie. And I'm into this. I know. Despite the fact that I said Star Wars shouldn't be dark, I know I said that, and I know I got a lot of shit for it. But here's my condition for it. Only if it's a comedy. I will take an R-rated comedy, like a Deadpool style Star Wars comedy. That I'm okay with. I know it makes me slightly hypocritical, but the drab, dour R-rated, where it's like, I guess I want more Deadpool, less Zack Snyder. Like, if it's like Rebel Moon, which Andor is, kind of. That's probably the hottest take I've had. But like, in terms of tone, they're very similar. Not that, but like, if it's like a Deadpool, I'm into it.
So here's my pitch. Because I like your idea of it being like a black comedy, or a dark comedy. Here's my pitch. Not literally this character, but something in the vein of this character. You have like a Jar Jar-esque character, like a goofy, silly. He doesn't realize that all this dark shit is going on around him. It could be a droid like C-3PO, something in that kind of realm, right? And then it's going on some sort of adventure, and all this dark shit keeps happening around him. Like if it's C-3PO, like he's stumbling through, and you see somebody in the background get crushed or something like that.
That is funny.
Something. something of that nature, and like he has absolutely no idea that anything's happening, and is super innocent and is totally oblivious to all the dark shit that's going on.
That is funny. I was thinking something a bit more slapsticky, a bit more goofy, but yeah, that is
Like,
funny.
I mean, you can have slapstick and goofy in that. That's the beautiful thing.
But that's why I was okay with oh, piss off. That's why I was okay with Taika Waititi doing a Star Wars, because I was like, yeah, I want to see his brand of weird, sardonic like humor in Star Wars. Like I want to. This is the case where like I want like it, I know this is gonna make me kind of a hypocrite, but him having an absolute disdain for Star Wars and mocking it, I think is way more fun than someone who's like, what if Star Wars was dour and depressing? Like that's not. But a guy who's like, what if Star Wars? We pointed out that yeah, the boss is a guy who shoots lightning, and like that, I'm on board for.
Well, I mean, the
That's why
thing
I'm
is
okay
that
with the Taika Waititi Star Wars movie, because I'm like, yeah, I think he's funny.
the thing is that for me, it always comes down to how it's done. Because, like, for example, I like when things take pot shots at Star Wars and make fun of it. That's why I love some of those Lego shows, is because they're making fun of it and they're taking pot shots at it. So there's a way to do that and have it be like adult quote unquote and dark, but still fun,
Right?
and just like dark and dour and like uh uh um Batman versus Superman version of Star Wars doesn't do it for me, which is what you've described of Andor, that's the vibe, not
I know.
literally,
Yeah.
but like in terms of tone, that's what that makes me think of, and it didn't work for me, and that's where I can fully acknowledge that's a me thing. It didn't work for me in Batman versus Superman or like his style of superheroes. It doesn't do it for me in Star Wars. It didn't do it for me in Rebel Moon.
No, that was bad.
That style just doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, I want
personally.
a stupid Ryan Reynolds sense of humor movie in the Star Wars universe. I would watch it.
Where it's hopelessly violent. Absolutely, you can do that. That fits with Star Wars.
Right.
Star Wars is the franchise where people are burned alive, lose their arms and legs, turn into spider creatures. You can absolutely have violence be funny.
And then for some reason it's still rated PG. Jordan, they announced, and this is going to be nothing to you because much like myself, you've never played this game, but it helped me come up with an interesting question, which is they announced they're making an Elden Ring movie.
Oh, that's isn't that the Lord of the Rings Dark Soul?
I think so. I don't know. All I know is it's like Dark Souls and it's super hard. And I'm like, so what?
I know the name, but hold on.
So you're allowed to make a movie, based on one of those. Well, okay, to me, movies like that, what's the point? Because without the element of getting your ass whooped, that like it's sort of like making a Bloodborne or a.
It's not about the story.
Yeah, it's not really about the story. Like, does anyone play Elden Ring for the story? Like, do you play not Bloodborne? What is it? Dark Souls. Like, you don't play Dark Souls for the story, do you? Do people play those games for the story? Maybe that's just me.
Some people do, I imagine. It's never been one that I've had a deep attachment to, but I know it has lore and it has story. I couldn't tell you. I'm the wrong person to ask about that. But so you're asking me if I could make any of those into a movie, which would I choose?
No, I was gonna, and then I realized, nah, it wouldn't be very interesting, would it?
I think it would. I mean, in terms of those stories, it would just become like your standard dungeon movie,
right? Fantasy,
or like fantasy based movie. Well, depending on what it would just become the generic version of whatever the theme of it is, like whatever it is generally. I don't know. Now, if you were to ask me what video game franchise I think would be a great video game franchise, to this day, I will die on the hill that I think Jak and Daxter would make a great movie franchise.
That would be.
And Sly Cooper is literally built to be a cartoon Saturday morning cartoon or Netflix cartoon.
This is true. Jordan, remember that movie Madam Web?
I try not to.
You're asking yourself the question, Jordan, why would anybody be in that horrid piece of shit? Well,
Money.
Sydney Sweeney revealed why she did that awful Madam Web movie.
Was it money?
Jordan,
It was money, wasn't it?
I was gonna say, so your guess is money. You think money?
I mean, that's why everybody does everything.
She said, I hadn't done a studio film yet, and I had started my production company, 50/50 Films, and I had some properties that I really wanted to be able to take out to studios, and I needed to be able to get my name to have more value. So, kind of.
So money.
Money, yes, but not long-term money, but short-term it was basically so she could leverage the fact that she did a big studio movie to make additional movies, which, like, I clearly do your research, because Sony is not the studio to do that, because all their movies are bad and do badly.
Yeah, but clearly they were the only one that would take her.
I guess, maybe? I don't know. It's just it's like, that's not the one. Jordan, you're never going to guess which two... which two iconic sets of characters are going to cross over in a big crossover, Jordan?
I mean, that's a very broad question. Can you give me some sort of hint?
No.
Okay. Is it in movie form, comic book form?
We'll do it 20 questions. You get 5 questions.
Okay, this is the first one. Is it in the comic book or movie?
It's in a comic book.
Superheroes?
No.
Are they in movies?
Half of them are. Half of the crossover
How many?
is. Half of the crossover is.
Okay. And you said they weren't superheroes.
Oh, I should say technically half of the crossover is they are superheroes technically.
Okay, well then I think I still have 3 more questions, but I'm gonna guess that it's Justice League and Sonic the Hedgehog.
No, but that did happen, and that was rad. No.
Okay.
Well, I will allow for one more guess.
Well, I still have like 3.
I will.
3 questions. Is it Marvel? Is Marvel the superhero half?
No.
Is DC the superhero half?
No. Also, when I said superhero, keep in mind I said technically.
Do I know the characters?
You absolutely know the characters. Okay, I'll give you another hint. Trying to think.
Technically superheroes?
You did one of their movies for a recent episode.
One of their movies. Oh, I'm gonna feel like a jackass not knowing this.
You absolutely are.
Oh, I hate when this is like the trivia question nightmare when you're put on the spot and your mind there's nothing up there.
That's why I'm letting this go on, because it's funny.
It's not DC or Marvel. What have I done recently?
You're gonna get real mad on the technicality.
Oh, I'm so going to. I don't.
Okay, I'll give you one.
Godzilla versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
No, but you are close. It's a Jay, Silent Bob, and Archie. Written by Kevin Smith.
There's no superheroes there. Oh, they're going to be Chronic and Bluntman, aren't they?
They are Bluntman and Chronic. No, I don't know. I have no idea what this.
Well, then they're not superheroes.
Oh, interesting. So it says this in continuity comic finds Archie Andrews employed at the Quick Stop in New Jersey, where Randall Graves from Clerks is still grieving the death. Wow, it takes place after Clerks 3.
There's no superheroes then.
So Archie is like Dante, and it's really not James. It's more of a Clerks.
Crossover.
Clerks and Archie crossover than a Jay and Silent Bob crossover. I was just like,
You said there were superheroes. You lied.
I said that these characters were technically superheroes.
They're not.
They are Blunt Man and Chronic.
They're not superheroes.
They are Blunt Man and Chronic. Those are superheroes. They are technically superheroes.
But it's not a them. It's the Quick Mart in general. You're full of crap.
I mean, the title was Archie Meets Jay and Silent Bob. So I was like, Jay and Silent Bob are Blunt Man and Chronic. They are technically superheroes.
Well, no, technically,
They fight
Justin.
the Cockknocker.
Technically, their likeness has been given. The rights of their likeness has been given out so that their likeness can be used to create the property known as Blunt Man and Chronic. They themselves are not actually Blunt Man and Chronic. Ergo facto, they are not superheroes.
Yes, but the basis is based on them, so they are in fact the basis.
They're
of
still
so
they themselves are not superheroes.
Also in Jay and Silent Bob, they
Ergo ipso facto, you lied to me.
Also, I said they were technically superheroes. Technically, Jordan. Technically. You notice I said that word technically was doing a lot of heavy lifting. I'm not wrong. Jordan, you're never going to guess who Jason Momoa is playing in Street Fighter.
Is he going to be Aquaman?
Did you just ask me if Jason Momoa in the Street Fighter movie?
A movie. I thought you were going to say that it was a video game and he was going to be like a cameo character.
No, the movie.
In the movie. I'm really bad with my Street Fighter characters. Blanca?
Whoa, no fucking way! No way! That had to be a free throw, right? That was just a full.
That was a total free throw.
That holy! Oh my god, you got it!
I mostly was picturing the long orange hair that he has.
Yeah. Holy shit! Yeah, no, you got it. First shot. I think that might be some redemption right there. No, that's solid. That is absolutely apparently he's playing Blanca.
Holy shit!
No. According to this article, anyway.
Total free throw there.
That is wild.
I can't even pretend that wasn't just a stab in the dark.
That is solid.
He's like the funny thing is when it comes to Street Fighter, he's like one of 4 character names that I know.
Yeah.
Him,
been like Ryu, and I would have been like
Chun Li, and the one who's a dictator.
Not Giovanni.
No, you know the one though.
I do.
He wears the red outfit.
And Bison.
Yeah.
And Zangief.
Oh, Zangief. Yeah.
Zangief.
Right.
I do know Zangief. Jordan.
And Blanca.
That's solid. So Daniel Radcliffe. Who do you think if Daniel Radcliffe were to be in that Harry Potter HBO series, which he absolutely should not, but if he were to, who do you think he wants to play?
I think I saw this on TikTok. It was like a random shopkeeper or something. He was like something very small, like a portrait or a painting. And I don't remember if he gave a named character, but I do remember he said like a painting or a portrait.
According to this article, it says he wants to be Sirius Black.
That was the other one that he said. He was like, yeah, that right. He's like, if I had to pick a named character, like a character with a name, it would have been Sirius. But no, in the beginning part of that video, he was like, I absolutely should not, but like, I very much doubt they would ever put me in it. But if they did, it would be something where I would ideally want to be something where I could pop in for a day and quickly do it, like a painting in the background.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do a more book accurate Sirius, he'd be a great pick.
I mean, they're not doing a book accurate anything apparently, considering some of the casting choices.
Yeah, fair enough. get rid of that.
We're not gonna open up that can of worms.
Jordan.
Not here. Not today. Not now. We'll have to wait until it comes out and we can see the final product, and then we can lambaste it for the show. For the show. For the show.
Oh,
For the show.
that's not very
Just
interesting.
for the show.
Sorry, I just had a story here that was like, why didn't Leonardo DiCaprio do that Evil Knievel movie? And I was like, oh,
Because he didn't want to?
It has to do with, I guess Martin Scorsese is going to do that. We talked about it before, that movie with The Rock. And Leonardo DiCaprio was chosen to do that one instead because Martin Scorsese would be old and he doesn't know when he's going to get a chance to work with him again. Jordan, this Ant-Man actor has said that they doubt whether or not they will return to the MCU. Who do you think it is?
Well, you said he, so I'm gonna guess Scott, the dad, the guy who was in that movie on Wall Street.
Come on, know his name. No, you're not allowed to cheat. You're not allowed to cheat. You have to guess. You have to embarrassingly guess.
I don't remember the actor's name. I just remember that he's the guy who was the first Ant-Man.
Yes, it's Michael Douglas.
That was it, Michael Douglas. See, you knew all along.
I did, but it was fun to torture you. Yes, he says he will probably likely not be returning, which is fair. He really didn't even seem to want to be in the third one. I don't fully understand why he was even in the third one. So that just makes
it is
sense.
fair. He is old. That's fair. It's not his fault. He can't do it anymore.
Right, he is exceedingly old.
He is just so old.
And Jordan, apparently Disney is already in talks to do a sequel to that terrible Lilo and Stitch. I've seen it's very funny. It's very controversial because there's a lot of people who we won't spoil it here. That'll come in a later episode. But there's a twist at the end, or the ending. They changed the ending, and it's bad.
Yeah, there's people that have been defending it, and I'm just man,
it's really bad.
You have grossly missed the point of the original movie.
I know. There's people who are like, all you people who are saying it's bad just didn't see it in context, and in context it's better. I'm like, no, it's bad. It's bad no matter how. Although to be fair, a lot of the people who are saying it's bad also, yeah. To be fair, there's a mid-credit scene that the people who are big mad about it clearly didn't see. Like that's the thing that's really.
Oh no! Some of the people that I've seen are like, I saw it. I saw that like the mid-credit scene, and it doesn't. It's still not good.
Oh, I think it's bad no matter what. But what I'm saying is a lot of the people who are pissed just saw shitty fucking like tweets or threads or whatever or TikToks that were just reacting to it and didn't actually see it in context. And don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
In context, it's also bad, but it's not as bad as people are kind of freaking out about. It's like, no, it's bad. It's bad. But it's bad as a result of other bad choices they make. So it's not.
Oh, it's one of those things where it's like if everything else had been good, like if it had like a lot of other good things about it, and that was like the one bad thing, people would be more forgiving.
Right.
But I mean, it would still be pretty egregious, but people would be more forgiving. But it's the fact that they don't have Gantu in there, thus they have to make Jumba the ultimate bad guy, which denies.
I just said no spoilers. No spoilers. We won't spoil anything. We won't spoil that movie until we talk about it. Yet, because yeah, we won't. It's still in theaters. We'll spoil it when we talk about it another time. But yes, they make some changes to the ending that are bad, and they're have announced the second one, which with the changes to the ending now makes that not make any sense.
It just how are you gonna because it's a live action remake. They're all bad. They're all bad.
How are you gonna do Lilo and Stitch 2 with the state of that universe the way it is unless you bring him back? Yeah, and the thing that bugs me about the no Gantu thing, I don't feel bad spoiling because they came out and said that. The Gantu thing doesn't make any sense. You could still have Gantu in there. The excuses that they've given for him not being in it don't make any sense. Like, okay, yeah, he doesn't. It's hard to do him in live action. I get that, right? I mean, I've seen a lot of people very accurately point out that it's Disney; they can afford it. But Like, if you want to have the
Okay,
mechanic
yeah,
of-
but even if they want to pretend they can't afford him, just give him the Jumba and Pleakley
that's what
treatment,
I was
where
about
you
to
put him
say,
in a
yeah.
human
That's
disguise.
what I was just about to say. Yeah, I was like, yeah, you give him the same technology they have, and then maybe he's Cobra Bubbles. Cobra Bubbles is Gantu, and you smash the characters together. And then in the third act, when you do the third act chase where Gantu chases after him, he turns back into regular Gantu, and you only have to do the CGI for Gantu for one scene, and he's otherwise a human for the rest
Yeah,
of the
like
movie.
you can have it
Easy
where like
peasy.
and
Problem
even
solved.
then you can cut costs a lot by having it be where like yeah maybe Lilo like smashes on like the wrist thing that he's wearing, and so like it keeps fritzing and he keeps jumping back and forth between it, so you only have to have him in like Gantu in like a very quick pass by scene where you don't really fully see him and he's
Right.
cheap,
Right.
and like he keeps flickering between the two.
Or say the real reason, which is narratively he's a superfluous character that you don't really need him in the narrative because Jumba is already hunting him. So you could just have Jumba fill in that role. Just say that. Just say the truth. Like it just be like just functionally within the screenplay, he's a unnecessary additional character for this thing. Like just say that. Like I don't agree, but just say that. At least it would be honest.
Yeah, just like, just say that the reason why Pleakley's not in a dress is because Disney wouldn't let you.
Right?
Just say it.
Right? Or if you're gonna like do like yeah. I mean I guess they kind of tried to do something, but like there was ways to do it where you could have had him be slightly a little more LGBTQ. And you not have him be in a dress. Like I from what I could tell, they are trying something. But yeah, there was ways to try more without.
From what I hear, it's not enough.
No, I hear it's like he gets one slight. It's what we said. It's in that one clip. He gets one like slightly gay looking outfit, and that's kind of it. That's it. That's the news. Jordan. Oh, you. Today's episode is brought to you by our favorite sponsor, my favorite sponsor. It's Books on Tape, everybody. It's Audible. Today's show is brought to you by Audible. And if you click the link in our description, Jordan, you know what the people get? They get 1 credit to start them off with. And they can pick... I don't know if there's any restrictions on the credits, but you can pick pretty much anything. I last listened to The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, a book I thoroughly enjoyed and was way more fun as an audiobook than reading it, let me tell you. And on Audible, Jordan, what do they have on Audible? They have crisp, clear audio, right?
They have clear audio. It keeps track of where you are in your book across devices. So I recently switched to a new phone, and Audible remembered where I was in my story on my previous phone when I loaded it up on the new phone.
That's pretty
It
rad.
keeps track of that for you. It even when you're not currently subscribed, allows you to continue listening to the books that you've already purchased on there using your credits. And I have to speak highly of their customer service, because I recently had issues where one of my stories disappeared from my category, and I contacted them, and they gave me a free credit to compensate for the loss of said book.
That's really nice.
That speaks volumes of their customer service.
It's not just audiobooks on Audible. There's also audio dramas, full bore audio plays that you can listen to on there as well, and podcasts. We're not on there because we're not American, but we could be one day. Not American, but
they also have a selection, the plus category selection, where they have books available at all times, which are just free. Just part of your subscription.
So if you click the link in our description right now, you can sign up, and that helps the show. And you get a free credit to listen to a book. So sign up to Audible today.
Do it.
You do it.
Do it.
Do it. You won't be let down.
Do it.
You won't be let down.
Do it.
By Audible.
Do it.
On with the show?
Yes.
On with the show. This is it.
We shall.
So, okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. So the topic this week is it fresh on Rotten Tomatoes? And I'm gonna be really honest with you. This topic sounded clever last week in my head, and then as I dug into it, it became apparent that most of the movies that are 100% looked boring or were foreign films that didn't look interesting. And like there was a few in there, and most of which I hadn't seen, and all the ones I had seen were Toy Story. So we kind of had to lower. So it became 95% or higher is what we're gunning for here. And Jordan texted me an idea that was like, what if we deducted various levels of points as we went on? And I didn't have the heart to tell him, Jordan, do you think we're gonna be able to keep track of points on the fly like that? Come on.
We could. You're on a computer. You could open a
Jordan,
notepad.
There's no way. There was no way.
You could do it.
There's no way. So now this is basically gonna work is, and I don't think we dipped under 95%, so I think I'm gonna eliminate the game. But the game was originally if you didn't get any 100%ers, then you lost a point. But we'll just say what percentage it is for each one, if it's 100%, and does it deserve that percentage point? Okay, that percentage point. Well, I guess maybe, yeah. Is it worthy of the 100%? Is going to be the question.
Because spoiler alert, just because it says 100% on there does not mean that it was necessarily worthy of that.
Does not mean it was necessarily a good movie, but
not necessarily bad.
Okay, I guess we'll do.
So I'm gonna preface all of this by saying I don't believe in 100%.
No.
Just like I don't believe in 10 out of 10.
But to be
I don't
fair,
I don't believe anything is perfect.
How Rotten Tomatoes works is it's not. No one should ever take Rotten Tomatoes as an indicator of quality because it is an aggregate website based upon whether or not it gets a positive review. It doesn't have to be a good review or like a perfect review. All it has to be is a positive review. So all it has to be is if you're a Rotten Tomatoes accredited critic, all you have to do is be like, I thought it was okay. And then that counts towards a positive. So you could have, and it's based upon reviews. So you could have 10 reviews and they can all be like, it was all right. And because all 10 of those critics reviewed it, it was all right, it gets 100%. That does not mean it is a perfect or flawless movie. It just means that a lot of critics went, it's good. What's your first movie?
I understand. So my first one...
That's your explanation of the tomato meter. And how it's bullshit.
Okay.
For reasons that'll become apparent later.
So my first rapid fire, which showed up on... I'm gonna just say all but one of my... selections showed up as 100% at the time when I picked them for this show. But the first one that I watched was on Netflix. It's called The Witcher: Nightmare of the Wolf.
It was very pretty looking.
Yeah, it really was. Okay. My frame of reference for The Witcher is that Geralt of Rivia is the main character. Yeah, that's all I really know of it. So you can imagine my surprise when I come into this movie and he's not the main character of this Witcher movie.
He's not in it?
He is at the very end, and we're gonna get to that. But so reading about it on, just because I skimmed the Wikipedia article, this is apparently a spin-off of the live-action Netflix Witcher show. And this is a prequel to that. So it starts off with the story starts off as we're following this kid and this girl, and this kid ends up training. He ends up being taken by the Witchers, or going to join the Witchers or whatever, and becomes a Witcher, and the story of the movie happens, and it's a fun movie, but that's besides the point. We find out at the very end, after the events of the movie have happened, and he's like one of the Witchers that survived the events of this movie. There's a bunch of kids and stuff that are there, and one of them is this bald-looking kid. Is basically, what are we gonna do? Like, things seem hopeless, yada yada yada, and then the character in this one is like, we'll take things as they come, Geralt. And I'm like, Oh, okay. And so then, yeah, reading about it here because I don't really know a lot about it, so I'm kind of just watching this as a movie, right? The character in that the main like the character that's the character in this one is apparently in the lore of The Witcher. He is, or at least in the lore of the live action Witcher, I assume. He is the mentor of Geralt of Riviera. So this is about the guy who teaches Gerald.
Gotcha.
Uh, so once I knew that, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
This
Because yeah, one of the
makes
big things in
sense.
this movie, is that the Witchers seem to be more corrupt than I'm used to seeing them, because like they're making the monsters that they hunt.
Ah.
So like they're in this movie, and this is kind of one of the big things in it is like they're kidnapping people and creating the monsters and then unleashing them upon the villages that they then go in and charge the villages money to save from the monsters that they created.
It's quite the racket.
Which is not how The Witcher typically is, as far as I can tell. Um, but yeah, it was a fun movie. It was very pretty. Does it deserve 100%?
I mean, you gave it a positive review, so it automatically makes it 100%.
Yeah, that's a stupid system.
I'm just saying it's how it works.
Like, it's
It was
good.
not overly negative review, therefore it's still 100%.
Okay, well I guess there you go.
I guess that'll be the question. Is it still the percentage it started off as? Or is it a negative review and are you bumping it down the percentage? You're my first movie.
I enjoyed it.
My first
overall
movie. We went back in time. Way back in time. A long time ago. To the year...
In a galaxy far, far away?
No, to Earth. In the year 1921. Where this movie, The Kid, starring Charles Chaplin, has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. And it is honestly pretty good. It's the first movie Charlie Chaplin ever directed. It's not the first movie to involve the tramp, but what made this movie fun for me personally, and I don't know if every person will feel this way, because I've watched a lot of the movies involving the tramp. This one, he doesn't really have a love interest, but this one is rather about a woman who abandons her child in the back of a car, and the car gets stolen, and the tramp, Charlie Chaplin, you know who the tramp is, right?
He's the guy with the hat and the pencil mustache.
Yeah. He finds,
and he does the penguin walk.
That's the penguin walk. Yeah. He finds the kid.
Of course, I know the tramp. I watched one of his things for this show.
He finds the kid and initially attempts to give the kid away, but he can't give it away, and he ends up keeping it. And he raises the kid as his little sidekick, and him and the kid have a racket going where the kid breaks windows, and then the tramp comes along and fixes them. And in the meantime, the kid's mother has become rich and famous, is trying to find the kid, and it's about her and the kid reuniting. And there's a bit at the end where he and the kid get separated, and the kid winds up with his mother, and he's sad, and he's walking around, he's like, he knows it's for the best or whatever, and he goes home, and there they are, and it's a really sweet moment. It's really good, it's really cute, if you can stand silent movies. Like, it's one of those, silent movies are hard to recommend, because by about 30 minutes to 40 minutes in, I'm like, I'm good, I'm done.
My attention span is slipping.
It's been thoroughly taxed by this point. But I just appreciated that it was different. It was different from his other ones in that, yeah, it didn't involve him just... Every other one's like, there's a girl, she's downtrodden in some capacity, they get separated, and they get back together at the end. Like, they're all the same. At least this one, it was a little boy, not a girl, so it was kind of interesting. And his relationship with the kid is really fun. So yes... Yeah, it's still a 100% for me. I enjoyed it. I had a darn good time. That's
okay.
The Kid.
So, my next one is kind Comes from 2013. Called The Tale of the Princess Kaguya.
Too.
So this one was funny. The main character is voiced by Hit Girl from Kick-Ass, Chloe Grace Moretz.
Mortez.
And Mortez, I don't remember what it is. Anyways, what was funny about this one for me is, so I've played a video game called Okami, which most of that game is just various Japanese mythology and folklore and stories and stuff. And one of the things in it is a version of this story, which is, the tale of the bamboo cutter, where the tale typically goes, a bamboo cutter is out in the bamboo forest, comes across a stalk of bamboo, which has a little girl in it, who he takes home and raises as his own daughter. And very different versions of the story go different directions. This version, at one point, he finds gold and silk and treasure in the bamboo grove where he originally found her. Moves to the city, like him and his wife and her move to the city, and he attempts to basically not pass her off, but introduce her into the royal circuits, basically the high ups, high society. And in this version, Princess, because they named her Princess, grows to be very unhappy, and ends up summoning her family from the moon, who come down and take her back home.
Yeah, this sounds that does sound familiar. Like that, because isn't that also in Isn't
Yeah,
that
that's in
also,
Okami.
Not Okami. But isn't it also in Kubo and the Two Strings?
Yes, I'm not sure if that's intentionally supposed to be a version of this, but the idea that there are gods in the moon and stuff like that
Yeah,
is
she
very
comes
much.
down and she comes down to the earth or whatever. I remember that being up that, or I believe that, like, yeah, the mom.
I think in Kabuya, what did you call it?
Kubo.
Kubo. Thank you.
Kubo and the Two Strings.
I believe
almost
I believe in
translated,
Kubo. I believe in Kubo. The mom is a star, not specifically from the moon, if I remember
Pretty
correctly.
sure she was from the moon. She was the moon princess.
Well, I know that the great grandfather or whatever is the moon emperor, but I think, yeah. See, it's been too long. I don't specifically remember that one. But
I don't
anyways,
either.
the art style in this one even reminded me of Okami, because it's very
Oh yeah,
stylized.
watercolor style, Japanese style art style. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Which Okami obviously is in that style as
Oh yeah,
well.
absolutely.
But when in this one, when the celestial beings from the moon come down, Buddha is like the emperor in this version.
Buddha. See, this is where I don't want to. I'm gonna make myself. I'm gonna embarrass myself by being like, I always thought Buddha was, the whole point of Buddha was he was just a guy. But then I watched all sorts of like Eastern mythology, and it's like, no, he's like, he's like their equivalent to like Zeus or whatever. Ooh, that probably was.
Yeah, he's a deity is the point.
Yeah.
But I also thought he was a man.
Yeah, I was positive.
So that's where
that was like the point.
I think it depends on the religion. To be fair, because I think the point of Buddhism, I'm talking out my ass here. This is just what I understand, but my understanding of Buddhism is that it's about the self, the oneself, like the insular kind of idea, and no possessions and all that, and they viewed Buddha as a man, I think, but that's where I might be wrong.
I will take your word for it.
But that's my understanding of it. But I'm the wrong person to tell you anything about all that.
Absolutely,
I'll be the
same.
first to admit that. So people in the comments, when they watch this video later, educate me.
Educate me. So is that it?
Like, seriously, educate me. Because I appreciate learning new things.
I
That
like
is
learning
it.
new things.
I overall enjoyed this movie. It's a little dry at points, but it's pretty
It's funny you
and
say
I
that.
appreciate it.
It's funny you say dry, cause
So I guess that still puts it towards 100.
yeah, it's an overall positive review. It did win. Okay, so I'm okay. I'm about to say critical things about an Oscar award winning movie, and this feels like one of those times where like I'm sure people are gonna tell me I'm wrong or tell me oh you're. I feel like a couple times this week I'm gonna be called an uncultured swine again, but just like
Well, I mean, to be fair, we're both uncultured swine,
absolutely
so that's
uncultured
just a
swine.
it's obviously very obviously a true statement.
So
I mean,
okay, so I watched the movie Flow because I heard it was really really good, and the whole gimmick with Flow is it's about a cat who gets trapped in a flood and has to travel across the river up the river to safety. I can't remember where they wind up, and along the way she runs into a group of dogs, a bird, like a crane, some kind of crane, and capybara. And the whole gimmick of this movie is that
capybara.
they're all real animals. As in they all exhibit the behavior of the real life equivalent to them. They're not anthropomorphic, so they don't talk. There's no funny sidekick characters. It's all real animal sounds. So the cat meows, the dog barks, the whatever. Except for all of the animals are anthropomorphic because like there's points where they're working together to drive or to sail a boat. Like there's 4 or 5 of them, and they're working together to get the boat up the river. And so they're anthropomorphic in that regard, in that they're way smarter than any cat or dog ever would be. So all it really turns into is a movie where there's no dialogue and the story just it didn't engage me. And I don't feel as though the animation is good enough to warrant the, in my opinion, lack of character. Like, it's very pretty, and maybe if this were like a 5 to 10 minute short as opposed to an hour and 30-minute feature, this might have been more interesting. But as a feature, I was kind of bored for a lot of it.
So
my attention waned for a great portion of it.
It's funny because I actually know what you're talking about with this one. I've seen it. It was on Amazon, and I saw like when scrolling through, I saw it on there the one time, and I've heard about it, and it always to me just screamed this was originally a short film.
Yes,
like a half an hour short film. That's what this screams. And then somebody saw it and was like, I want this to be longer, and like pushed it to be longer.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel just and I've not watched it, so I'm just going off of what I've seen of it. But just by vibe and feel, it feels like something that was intended to be shorter than it is.
Well, apparently it was entirely animated in Blender. And when I read that immediately made me go, this looks like it was a tech demo, or it was a demo, short little animation for Blender somebody did, that somebody went, ooh, wouldn't it, yeah, like you said, wouldn't this be fun if this were a full feature? And it just, I don't think the animation, like there's a point where the cat there's a lot of points where the cat gets wet and it doesn't look wet. Like there's points where the dog does the shake off wet fur thing, but no water comes off of it, and it's made to look like a stylistic choice. Like it kind of has like a what's the word? The type of animation the Legend of Zelda game. Cell shaded. Cell shaded.
Oh, cell shaded.
Yeah, it has that sort of cell shaded look to it. So it feels like it's meant to be intentional, but because they're supposed to be real animals, they don't move smoothly enough for them to be believable as real animals. But because they're animated, they don't have enough personality to be interesting to me. Like, it just seems disingenuous.
So here's my thing. If you're gonna have a movie like this where you have like animals that don't speak, you need a human analog.
Yeah.
So like you need to have like a character like a Mowgli or like a character that's with them that the character speaks for those characters.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Like this,
or like just something that we can relate to, because otherwise, yeah, that sounds
animals.
boring.
Yeah, they're just animals. They're just regular animals. Yeah, there's nothing for me to relate to as an audience member, other than like, yeah, it's kind of like Milo and Otis or like Homeward Bound, where there's moments where obviously the animals are in peril and are in danger, but as characters, they're just not relatable because they have no characteristics. They have personalities, but like base animal personalities that are not terribly interesting. Like this movie looked like cutscenes for a video game where you got to play as a cat. And
what it makes me think of is, and maybe this is a deciding thing, but you remember that game where you play as the stray cat? I think it's called Stray.
It's called Stray. Yeah.
That's what you're describing makes me think of that, and it makes me wonder. And I'd be interested to look at release dates / creation dates of maybe this was a tech demo for a game that would have come out around the same time as Stray demo, or like maybe this was you know what I'm saying? Maybe it was originally going to be a game and Stray stole their thunder, so to speak.
It looks very similar to Okami in sort of how it moves but yeah, they look like video game models that it was turned into a movie. And yeah, I don't know. I got bored. It failed the phone test so hard, and then every time it failed the phone test, I was like, "Shit, I have to pay attention to this because if I don't, I won't know what's going on." But it was real dull. But I mean, it's pretty, and I respect the other interesting thing about it. I guess was it 97%, 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm the one guy, it knocks down a percentage. But the funny bit about it though was when I went to click on it. And it was, typical Crave. I watched it on Crave, went to click on it, and it was in French. I was like, it's fucking French! So I spent like 2 minutes looking for an English version, only to realize that, no, there's no dialogue in it, so it being a French version is ultimately irrelevant. But no, it's a French, like, European production. I'm like, oh, so that explains why it feels like it's up its own ass so much. Like, I can't remember, some Slavic country, how produced it. It was like a French co-production, and yeah, I was like, oh shoot, but yeah, it feels like it. Very pretentious. So yeah, I guess I'm knocking it down a percentage point because I did not really care for it all that much. I'm going out of my way to find nice things to say about it because it won an Oscar, but I'm kind of like, it kind of made me go like, nah, I think maybe Wallace and Gromit should have won it, although I have criticisms about Wallace and Gromit. That's it.
That's all you have to say about that?
That's flow.
Okay. So, we're going to go back in time to the ripe old year of 1940 something? 1940.
1940?
Yeah, 1940.
What the heck were you watching in the 1940s?
Pinocchio!
Oh, yeah, right, Pinocchio. That movie's upsetting.
Which, I mean, it is. So, it's funny because watching it, I was very much like, man, how times have changed.
Yeah, we talk about things that they do. Every time we talk about older kids movies, where back in the day, people had no problems upsetting children. Like it wasn't about like you didn't care. You were perfectly willing to upset children because that movie's upset. When he's crying for his mom. Like that's upsetting.
While turning into the donkey.
It gives me a pit in my stomach every single time. It is upsetting. Oh. There's never been a version of that scene in any adaptation of Pinocchio that isn't upsetting. The only
it's one upsetting and it comes from a time where they'll have like Okay, how does that island work? Is it just on that island that they turn into donkeys? Why do they turn into donkeys? Is it the man who's bringing them there that's casting a spell? Like, it's back in the time where they have strange plot elements like that, which they're never going to explain that. They never intended to explain that, and they didn't really feel like they needed to explain it. But I would like an explanation.
It's funny because the Pinocchio is based on a book, and the book is darker, and in the movie I think they where they get sent to the salt mine. But I think in the book there is a sort of explanation for why they turn to donkeys. Like, as I looked it up once, depending on the version of it, there is often an explanation. Like in the most upsetting version of Pinocchio, which is the live action one with I think it's Jonathan Taylor Thomas. I think Pinocchio turns into Jonathan Taylor Thomas at the end. But he's like a physical puppet. Not the one with Tom Hanks, but the other one.
I think I remember that one.
Yeah, that one was upsetting because it was a fountain, like a magical fountain that they drank from that turned them into the donkeys. Because they had the guy who ran the island, he drank it and he turns into Monstro. And it was really scary. I just remember it being really scary as a child, like way more upsetting, like body horror scary than the Disney one, which is upsetting in and of itself.
Oh, it's still upsetting. That's the funny thing. Like it's a very upsetting movie, but it's not the most traumatizing thing I watched this week.
No, it's not. And also, I've got no strings to hold me down. It's just a bop.
Yeah, it's one of those movies where it's like, I see why it's a classic. I see why it's beloved. I see why we have a generation of traumatized children.
Right.
I didn't watch it as a kid, so at least I don't remember watching Pinocchio a lot as a kid. So I wasn't traumatized by it, but I've also never seen a whale which acts like a shark.
Right. I mean, to be fair, he's basically just Moby Dick.
I mean, yeah, but Moby Dick is also a whale which acts like a shark.
It's true. Big. It's a big metaphor for obsession.
It's the studio's second animated feature film. So I love how he did Snow White, and then he was like, you know what, that one wasn't traumatizing enough. I need to go traumatize a generation of children.
Really, Pinocchio's the second one, huh?
That's what this says.
Huh. Interesting.
The second animated feature film.
Huh. It's older than I thought it was.
And the third animated film overall produced by an American film studio.
Huh.
So it went Snow White, Fletcher Studios, Gulliver's Travels, and then this one in terms of all studios. But in terms of Disney, it was Snow White and then this.
Interesting.
But yeah, overall, I like it. Although I do think it's funny how, you know, clearly the puppet with wood for brains doesn't have a brain in his head because he gets tricked by Honest John twice.
Right. To be fair,
he
is a naive little puppet boy.
With no brain in his head.
With no brain in his head. To be fair, he's a sad little puppet boy.
Also, I didn't realize that, or I forgot that Jiminy Cricket starts off as like a homeless little bug.
Oh, well, that makes sense because that's what happens in the remake. So
he's sneaking into Geppetto's house to stay warm, and then that's when it all happens. Yeah, overall, I enjoy it. But I would say only bring your kid to watch it if you want to traumatize them.
It's true, because Disney wanted to traumatize your children.
Back in 1940, they did.
I mean, to be fair, in 1940 it was a pretty. I mean, there was stuff happening back then.
So I mean, there's a reason why their generation says that the generation now is a bunch of snowflakes.
It's true. Bunch of snowflakes.
But that's Pinocchio.
Pinocchio. I've got no string to hold me down, to make me fret, to make me frown.
I had strings, but now I'm free.
Free.
There are no strings on me.
On me. So my next one, I initially it was a have not seen, and I realized I didn't have like a super ton to say about it because I gotta be honest with you, it was a tough watch. It was a real tough watch, and that movie was 19. I'm stalling as I pull up the date. 1950 something. 1954 movie. Seven Samurai. One of the most iconic movies of all time, credited with birthing the Western. It's basically a Western. It's been
So why did you
parodied,
hate it, Justin?
parodied and referenced and addressed because it
Why are
is
you gonna tear apart this treasure that people love, and you're gonna just upset and just a whole bunch of people right now? Tell us.
because it is entirely too long. It is, and this is just okay. I'll say this 1,000 times. This is probably just a me thing, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, you used to have a bad attention span." Yes, I do. It's a 3.5 hour movie. It's just too long. By the hour and a half to 2 hour point, my brain's checked out. I'm like, I'm bored. I'm done. It's taking them 3 times as long. This movie is pretty much. I mean, everyone. I saw a review that made fun of it. I mean, it's funny because, what's it? The Zack Snyder Rebel Moon. That's just Seven Samurai. But A Bug's Life is really just Seven Samurai. Like it right down to like it's a village and they have a bunch of grain that they're gonna have for the next season. And the grasshoppers, I mean bandits, are gonna come back and take it all from them. So they need to get a bunch of warriors, samurai, to help protect their village. And they gather 7 samurai. The difference is in this one is they are actually samurai, and at first they find one samurai, an older guy, and he helps them recruit a bunch of the 6 other samurai. And the movie's really a very long dissertation on defense and effective defense, and how to redirect and redo strategy. But it's just a very long movie of characters being like, are you ready for the bandits to show up? When are the bandits going to show up? You know, when the bandits show up, you're not prepared, right? You need to be prepared for when the bandits show up. And the bandits do finally show up. And it's like 3 separate battles of like them re-strategizing and reorganizing. And like, yeah, it's entertaining, but it's too long. You can also see, though, there's a lot of stuff where it's like Mulan. There's a character in this who... You could like this movie is very much inspired by Mulan. Like there's characters in Mulan that are straight.
You mean it inspires Mulan?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, oh, this is where that came from, and in that regard, it is a influential piece of cinema, and I will not take away from that, and I will not take away its 100% because Kurosawa influenced Star Wars. Like Star Wars comes from this. Like everything you love pretty much in like action movies over the past like however many decades comes from Kurosawa and Seven Samurai. The other problem is the version of it I could find, the subtitles were bad, so they were off sync, so it made it hard to follow. And yeah, it just felt like I was watching it all day. By the 3rd time the bandits attacked at like the 3-hour mark, I was like, there was still 30 minutes left, and I was like, I took a break in the middle. I had like the thing when I watch movies this long, I have to take a break, and I took a break in the middle, and it just felt like I'd been watching it all day, so it just wasn't doing anything for me. And also there's just like a lot of like cultural stuff I don't understand, so they're all like, I guess I know that samurai are like, much despite what they're portrayed in the media, not good people. Like they're not good guys. Like that's the whole thing. And so the one farmer is like the one samurai falls in love with the one farmer's daughter, and he like beats the hell out of her when he finds out, and like, you can't be with a samurai, and the movie doesn't really explain why. And that's one of those, like, I'm sure culturally if I were Japanese I would be like, she lay with a samurai? That's outrageous. But as a Canadian, it doesn't really I'm sure you probably experienced the same thing with.
Oh, there was a few times. Yeah, there's a
where
few.
you're like, I'm not Japanese, so I don't really appreciate the place and time in which this takes place, other than to say that part of the plot is that they find guns, and it's like, yeah, it's treated as this kind of major thing.
Well, yeah, it wasn't it like for decades guns weren't allowed to come into. I mean, even to this day, I'm pretty sure they have very strict gun control over there.
I think so. But yeah, it's just one of those. I don't know enough about Japan, so a lot of the cultural stuff didn't hit me. And it's an old movie. It's from 1954, so some of the technical stuff is looking a tad dated. But I appreciate it. I appreciate its contribution to cinema. If it were an hour shorter, if it were 2.5 hours, I probably would have had a better time. But unfortunately, there's never been a 3.5 hour movie where I got at the end of it and I was like, that didn't feel like total agony. I didn't feel every second drag by as I got to the last hour of it. It never happened. Even like, I really like Dances with Wolves, and I said, no, that movie's like 3.5 hours long. It's too long. 3 hours, 2.5 hours is too long, but I can handle that. Past that, yeah, my mind is wandering. Like, I struggle. I had to rewatch the first 30 minutes twice because I fell asleep. So yeah, it was a real struggle to get through that. But that's not the movie's fault. Like, I'm not gonna hold that against the movie, other than to be
No,
like,
that's a my short attention span
Right.
thing. I couldn't do it. 3 hours is too long.
It's just too long.
That's like when I watch these Netflix shows and Disney Plus shows, and they're like an hour long, and I'm like, it's too long.
It's too long. It's too long for a TV show. It's too long. Perfect hour and a half is the perfect length for a movie for me. But
hour 45 if we're pushing it.
I will tolerate a 2 hour, but I don't love a 2 hour.
Yeah, that's like the limit.
That's why and then after that, yeah, my mind starts to think about what I want to be doing next. My mind starts to wander. Unless I'm in the theater. If I'm in the theater, it's a different scenario.
That's a different scenario.
That's an entirely separate scenario. But then I also couldn't go watch a 3.5 hour movie in theaters either, so. That's it. That's 7 Samurai.
Okay. So, we have to travel back to 1991. In Japan, a movie comes out, which I'm not going to try and read the Japanese. Okay, I will. Hepburn Omohide Poro Poro comes out, which in 2016, an audio version finally is released, and it's called Only Yesterday.
Oh yeah, that's the one where it was the Studio Ghibli film that took them forever to bring here, and then they finally did 2016.
2016.
Yeah, fairly recently.
Even though, well, I mean, like 9 years ago.
Grand scheme of things, fairly recently.
But it features the voices of Daisy Ridley, someone I don't know. The three names I recognize are Daisy Ridley, Laura Bailey, and Ashley Eckstein. They're in this movie. So it's basically adult version of main character is a career woman, and she's going back to the countryside to visit some family, and she quote unquote brings along her 10-year-old self. And it's basically this story where we see like her remembering times from when she was 10, and we see those things that happen, kind of thing. So it's kind of a coming of age story, I guess, is how I would describe it. Because yeah, it's about her adult self remembering her 10-year-old selves, like going through puberty and dealing with boys and classhood squabbles and family squabbles. And so yeah, that's an example of there's a scene which happens where it's like, I don't get it, but I'm guessing it's a cultural thing where the family is going to be going out, like wants to go to dinner or whatever, at this restaurant. I don't remember what kind of food it was. And the one older sister is going to be going along, and main character is kind of the 10-year-old self is kind of a brat, and that's kind of a sticking point of her character. So she's throwing a hissy fit because she's like, I can't go without having like a real purse, because they won't let her get a new real purse even though she really wants one, because she has a perfectly good hand-me-down from her sister, but she's throwing a hissy fit because it's like a kitty purse, yada yada yada. And so, to get to the point, there's a point where they're like, okay, well, you can stay with your grandma and we're gonna go, and they go to leave, and the main character, little 10-year-old girl, runs outside, is like, wait, I'm coming, and hasn't put her shoes on, and her dad is basically like, where are your shoes? Slap, and slaps her open palm across the face, and I'm like, she forgot to put her shoes on. She's 10. Why are you slapping her? You and I'm like, is that a culture thing? Is like not wearing your shoes out such a big deal in Japan that like a single step outside is worth slapping your child?
All right. Well,
I don't get it.
What year does this movie take place? It
Uh,
might depend on the year, but yeah, that seems overboard.
1982.
All right. Okay.
Wait, no, that's the future version of her. Uh, Hold on.
How old is she?
The kid version of her is 10.
And how old is the adult?
27.
So
So
60s.
17 years, so 60 something.
So yeah, apparently in Japan, 1960s, they really wanted you to wear your shoes outdoors. I guess.
I guess. But yeah, so that was an example of one where I was like, I don't really get that. Apparently, I'm reading now. Apparently, there is a 2021 live action sequel, which follows a 64-year-old version of the main character from this one, and her daughter and granddaughter.
Interesting. Interesting. That's very interesting.
But overall, I enjoyed it. It's yeah, here it is. Sorry. Taiko becoming indecisive about whether to join her family or go out for food. In a moment of panic, she runs after her family outside of the house, but is slapped by her father for walking outside without shoes. Oh, okay. In brackets, it says, an indicator of poverty in post-war Japan.
Gotcha. That explains it.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, well, that's an example of I don't know the history that well, so that didn't mean anything to me.
No.
But yeah, no, maybe to be fair, maybe there was a line in the movie that I missed which explained it. But overall, yeah, I'd give it a positive review.
All right. So that was 100%. That was a hundo percent.
That was that. These are all. I'll tell you when I hit the one that's not 100, but these are all 100.
My
Again,
next one.
At the time I picked them, they were 100.
So my next one, I think Jordan talked about it before. So the angle I've taken on this is I've gone a little bit deeper on it, but it's Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul.
Hello, Gromit.
And okay, so I want to talk about Wallace and Gromit as characters in my little bit here, because like I also watched The Wrong Trousers, because I'm like, well, if I'm gonna watch with Feathers McGraw, I gotta watch the original Feathers McGraw appearance, right? Which was the 30-minute short, The Wrong Trousers, which is not the first Wallace and Gromit short. The first Wallace and Gromit short is the one where they go to the moon and they find out that the moon is made of cheese.
Okay.
And what's funny about the Wrong Trousers is on the news. It's very much a sequel to that one, because on the news in the background you see they're talking about the moon cheese. And
the moon cheese,
and how they're all living off of moon cheese now that they've discovered that the moon is made out of cheese.
Cheese.
Do you remember The Wrong Trousers, or do I have to describe them?
I remember vaguely. There's just general things with Wallace and Gromit that I remember.
So it's basically, again, it's only 30 minutes, but it's Wallace is a kind of a not very successful inventor, and he has invented a Rube Goldberg style machine for helping him wake up, where it's kind of similar to Flubber, where he falls into his pants. And it's funny because he's like, oh, it's like, well, we gotta adjust the entry on the trousers, Gromit. It's a bit rough, as he like adjusts his pants. And Feathers McGraw moves in, and basically Wallace and Gromit are broke, and they don't have they're running low on funds. So Feathers moves in as a lodger, as a renter, and Wallace buys Gromit these electronic pants, or these robot pants.
Right. I remember the Robo Pants. Yeah.
And it's the wrong trousers, Gromit. It's the wrong trousers.
And Feathers is controlling the pants.
Feathers reprograms the pants to steal the Hope Diamond or whatever, Blue Diamond, I think is what they call it. And yeah, he does it while Wallace is asleep. And Wallace, he disguises himself. He wears he does it in the Vengeance Most Foul movie, where he puts with
the glove,
and he like it's hair. And yeah, Wallace doesn't recognize him when he has the glove on because he looks like a chicken.
Yeah.
And so Vengeance Most Foul, Wallace is now a successful inventor, and he has invented, all of his inventions now work. The wake up machine now, instead of going frontwards into pants, he goes backwards into his shirt, and it like dresses and bathes him and whatever. You know this. You've seen this movie.
Yeah.
And this is where my question comes: are Wallace and Gromit culturally significant characters?
Culturally significant?
Like, are they well-known, established characters?
To a niche group of people?
Because
no. To the masses, I would say no.
Because my big issue with this movie, but I couldn't tell if it was an issue or if it was just me, but him being...
Or I guess I should say, in North America, I would say no. I feel like they are in Britain.
Okay, that's fair. Because the reason why I ask is because there are several moments where I'm like, this feels out of character for this character. And then I double back and I'd be like, but is it? So, like, Wallace being such a hyper-competent inventor that he's invented this wildly competent gnome robot that can do anything that looks like he's that when he charges, he looks like he's getting a robo job. He looks like he's getting robo off. If you get my drift, it looks like he's being jerked. Looks like he's being jerked off. Okay.
Oh.
There was no wink. But he's competent enough to build that Feathers McGraw eventually like reprograms for evil and then creates an evil army of. But ultimately, like at the end of the movie, they're still friends with the gnome, Gnomebird or whatever, the gnome.
Yeah.
So like Wallace, as he's presented in The Wrong Trousers, in my opinion, is not supposed to be like so him being really competent at inventing felt out of character, but is it?
Well, it depends. If in the continuity and world of Wallace and Gromit, if we're supposed to interpret the Gnome movie as having been like a couple months since the last thing,
I think it's supposed to be. They don't say. I tried to look it up because it seems like it's been a couple years since that.
Well, yeah. Well, that was my point. Is like if it's supposed to have been like very recently, then yes, it's out of character. If it's supposed to have been like a couple years, like a while, yeah, he might have gotten competent enough that it's believable.
Well, that's where I'm like, because I didn't. I that's why I said to you, I have a memory of watching the Were-Rabbit movie at my dad's place once, but like I don't remember any specific detail of it. So maybe and that movie is all of these movies are all directed and all made and all created by the same guy, all of them. And so maybe in that one he had evolved as an inventor. There were more shorts after Wrong Trousers, but that's where I said to you, this movie. That's where I'm like, oh, is Wallace and Gromit culturally significant? Because this movie feels like the movie version of the television show that they made after the shorts.
Yeah.
You know how like with Fairly Odd Parents, there was the shorts and then they made it into a full show? Like, it feels like there should have been a full show, but there just wasn't.
So I've been thinking about that, and I'm just in this moment kind of pulling the thoughts together. What Wallace and Gromit makes me think of, and it feels like, yeah, like there should have been the TV, but what Wallace and Gromit makes me think of is Thomas the Tank Engine.
Gromit.
Whatever. Is Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
Where it feels like we're watching the Thomas and the Magic Railroad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would
which is the movie version of the show, basically.
Well, more for me, yes, but also it more feels like it's hard to like the movie version where it's like it's been a couple of years since the end of the show. With Thomas, I wouldn't quite say it's 1-to-1 for that because they were still making the show when they made that movie. But like this is more like the Fairly Odd Parents is the best or SpongeBob, where it's like
no, but this movie feels like this feels like that where this comes from a universe where there is a show ongoing currently at the same time, and this is the movie that came out.
But I don't
that's where I say it makes me Wallace and Gromit, and that's why when you say is it culturally relevant, I hesitate to say no, but I hesitate to say yes. It's to me as cultural, like it's in the same realm as Thomas the Tank Engine, where it's like it is, but it's not. It's not mainstream, but like I feel like people have heard of it. Or
another good example for me is like the character Postman Pat.
Yeah.
Like they made a Postman Pat movie. That's what that reminds me of. Where it's like there was a TV show that feels like they were like small, like 5 to 10 minute shorts. Where like this is the Top Cat movie. Where it's like this feels like it's the movie. I wouldn't necessarily because I wouldn't. The Thomas and the Magic Railroad is so specific. But that movie I would not qualify that.
Well, I mean, there's been other Thomas movies. That was just the first one that came to mind.
One I wouldn't say it's a specific version of like Shiny Time Stitch. This is I mean like there was like a TV
Well, it is.
show.
It has Stacy and it has the characters from it, so it is.
It is, but it isn't. I get what you say. It is, but it is, but it isn't. As how it would. It wants to be, but it's not.
That's where I say it's just in terms of cultural in terms of cultural relevance. I put Wallace and Gromit and Thomas the Tank Engine in the same world. I put them in the same level.
I suppose there's a reason why it went to Netflix, but as to whether or not it deserves 100%, I mean, these movies are delightful. I can understand why every person who watched it reviewed it positively because they're fun.
It's a good kids movie.
It is. It gets a little dark for Wallace and Gromit, I will say, where you're like, wow, he's really at his point of despair here. He's normally a pretty happy-go-lucky character. Also, Ben Whitehead is doing a great job. The fun fact about the original, played by Peter Sallis, who's they just asked him if he would do it, and he agreed. And for like 7 years they worked on it, and then 7 years later they told him it was finally coming out, and he was shocked. He was like, "Really? That thing I made 7 years ago?"
That's funny.
It also made me kind of want to play there's a VR game that made me kind of, if I had a VR headset, I'd kind of want to play it. It looked fun. Come along, Gromit. Also,
come along, Gromit.
Yeah, Gromit is a very odd, weird character. Anyway, I had fun. Next thing.
So my last rapid fire is called 12 Angry Men. Came out in 1957.
And are those men angry? Were they angry?
They were pretty angry at certain points. They were angry enough that there's a point where the one character is like pretend demonstrating what the stabbing would have looked like, and and he goes to do it, and the rest of them are like, "Whoa!" Like they think he's gonna actually stab the guy. That's how angry they were.
That's funny. I'm like reasonably sure I've seen this movie, but it's hard to know because it's been, as I'm sure you're gonna bring up, parodied and referenced and addressed and other things.
I was just gonna say, even if the thing is that even if you haven't seen this movie, most people have seen this movie because it was parodied in Family Guy for one thing.
Yeah, they've done variations. I think Malcolm in the Middle, I think, did an episode where it was Lois was the one who was holding out. But it's always, it's 12 guys and one of the guys, 11 guys want it, and the one guy holds out. And it's one. No, I have seen this. Because it's based on a play, and the play is like basically all in one location, and the movie replicates that where they're all in one location.
Let's see.
I have seen it.
I'm reading some of the adaptions/parodies. There's one in The Odd Couple.
Yeah.
There's one in Happy Days, in Murder, She Wrote. I'm in Hey Arnold. There's a parody. So yeah, it's been in a lot of things that people, Veronica Mars.
Well, for people who haven't seen 12 Angry Men or heard of it, it's based on a play about 12 jury men. I don't think there's any women involved in it, and they're part of a trial where it looks like the guy really did it, and everyone is in agreement that they did it, but one person is holding out because they don't think that they did it, and then it's about slowly unraveling what actually happened.
And in this version, and I don't think they ever implicitly stated, although it's pretty obvious in my opinion. But it comes out it's in 1957. Comes out then, so I'm sure you can imagine that. What year is it? Does it ever say what year it actually is supposed to be in it?
It's a race thing, right?
Well, yeah. The kid that stabbed the person or stabbed his dad or whatever is described as an intercity kid. And there's a point where one of the the last holdout, the last guy who refuses to vote not guilty, is they're born like it. It's not their fault. They can't help it. And he goes off on, again, they never implicitly say that what race the person is, but it's pretty fucking obvious with the way
rant.
Yeah, with the way that he's ranting about how they're born to do that. It's not their fault. They can't help it. It's but it's one of those movies where I can see why it's a classic.
Oh yeah, definitely. I know what you mean. Where you're like, I recall liking that movie. I do recall liking that movie.
Oh, I enjoyed it. I mean,
very entertaining.
It's in black and white, so you know that it's classy as shit.
Oh yeah, they're always classy when they're in black and white.
And yeah, no, it's selected as the second best courtroom drama ever by the American Film Institute.
Huh.
It lost out to To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, that's also a pretty good movie.
It was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by Library of Congress, so you know it's good. And there's a reason why so many things have parodied it. It's a classic.
It is
There's really not much more.
It's a classic.
Not much more to say about it. It's just listening and watching them debate and watching them do. I was very enthralled.
Right, and it's one of those movies where it's a testament to the quality of the writing and the performance, because I'm pretty sure the movie also only takes place in one location.
Yeah, no, they're just in the jurors' room.
Yeah.
They have a little bathroom and stuff that they go, and they occasionally go into that.
Yeah.
But
that's pretty much when they do it on stage. It's just the one room, and you could tell it's one of those movies where you could tell, you're like, oh yeah, I could see how they would have staged this on stage, because movies back then, they were like, we'll just pretty much do it how they did it on stage. We won't really take any variations on it, which and also, I'm pretty sure there's a remake. There's one that's in the.
There's one which was, I think it was in the 90s or something.
I almost watched that once.
Which I would be interested in watching that one to see if it's as good.
To see if those men are equally as angry. God, those men were so angry.
Because I'm pretty sure one of the actors in this is a very famous one.
Very angry men.
Yeah, I can't. Henry Fonda, I think.
Oh yeah, I know him. Yeah, he is famous.
Yeah, he's in this. He's the first one to say not guilty. But yeah, no, this one, I absolutely see why it's 100%. And I think it deserves it.
All right.
That's my last rapid fire.
So my final rapid fire. See, initially I was gonna do Terminator, and I just couldn't. I just didn't want to talk about the Terminator movies again. Not so soon, because I was like, I feel like we talked about them a lot recently. So I went looking to swap out. Sorry. I wanted to prove the thesis that if it has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, it's bad. And so I found one that I swapped out for Terminator. And then I didn't want to watch 8th Grade, because like 8th Grade, that's just an uncomfortable movie. So I saw.
What, you didn't want to watch a movie about children going through puberty?
No.
Because I had to do that for one of mine.
No, I didn't want to do that. So I selected A Hard Day's Night by the Beatles, because I wanted to watch Help, because that's the movie I had seen and I like that movie, but it's only 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. This is 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I like the Beatles, so I am willing to be forgiving of a lot of things, but this movie was kind of bad. Like it's a okay. So the plot of it very basically is the Beatles are performing on this television show, and it's the 48 hours surrounding them performing it. And so it initially starts with they're being chased by girls down the street, and they wind up on a train, and they run into I will say the dialogue is quite funny. They're very sharp. There's a point at the beginning where they're on the train and they're in this car with this old man, and John's like, "Who's this old man?" And Paul's like, "He's my grandpa." And John's like, "I've seen your grandpa. That's not your grandpa. I've seen your grandpa." And he's like, "Yeah, this is my other grandpa. You can have more than one grandpa." And this guy ends up being this just total prick who just constantly gets them into trouble. And there's their manager, and they're constantly like getting into shenanigans where like they're trying to escape and run off. And the movie is a musical, so like obviously it has it's basically the album It's a Hard Day's Night is all the music. But clearly there wasn't a lot of songs on this album because they repeat music twice, and it's not like they separate the songs in half. So like, okay, this scene they do this half of the song, and no, they just repeat the song. So they do Can't Buy Me Love twice, and it's I don't know if it's meant to be a musical, because there's times where they are singing the songs in the scene, but other times where the scene is just them running around being chased by people. So like they do Can't Buy Me Love, and it's literally they're just running around a field, and after they run around the field for a bunch, the groundskeeper comes out and like, "You best not be running around this field," and they're like, "Sorry, sir," and then they run off and the scene ends. Or like
so it's basically Mamma Mia, but you like the music this time.
Well, sort of. I mean, this was kind of the movie where I discovered that not all of that early Beatles stuff, not every Beatles song is created equal, because like some of the songs were bad. Like some of them were not good. Like there was one where it's just like,
whoa, man, you're gonna piss off a lot of Beatles fans.
Like there was one song early on where the lyrics were just, it's the same melody and the same 3 chords over and over again. I wish I could remember what the lyrics were, because there was only 3 of them. But it was like, "I love you and I want to hold your hand. And I love you and I want to hold your hand." Just over and over and over again. Something to that effect. Just over and over and over again. And it was like, this is not very interesting musically, and the lyrics are bad. Like, this is not very good.
I want to hold your hand.
Like that song's good. And then the ending of the last like 20 minutes is just a Beatles concert. Like, it's just them playing 3 songs at this concert. There's nothing narrative about it, and like, yeah, there's no real story. The funniest shit is when they're fucking over their manager, who is constantly constantly stressed out. He's like, "I swear to God, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill John. I'm gonna kill him." And nobody likes Ringo. There's a subplot where nobody likes Ringo because nobody likes Ringo.
Oh, Ringo, you made us a drawing. We're gonna put that right on the fridge.
We're gonna put that right on the refrigerator. And then
right on the fridge.
They all end up getting in various. So there's a bit where George Harrison gets confused for like an actor, and yeah, it's like some of the dialogue is funny, but the musical numbers are just there. Like they don't add. They don't add
They
anything.
just exist.
They just exist. Like there's one where they're at a club and they're dancing and it's just playing the song while they're dancing, and then you're like, okay, this is clearly just to promote this album, but you read about it, and no, this was like a legit film that the Beatles like shopped directors and writers, like they hired a specific writer because he fit their voice, and this is what they want. And I'm like, there's nothing to this movie. It's nothing. Like it doesn't really have a story or plot. The dialogue is, some of it's kind of clever. They are very Monty Python-esque in how they deliver their jokes. Like, their sense of humor is very Monty Python. So, like, there's points where I laughed. Don't get me wrong, I laughed.
So what you're saying is the British band has very British humor. That checks out.
Yeah. And, like, it's a funny movie. Like, it's very funny. I laughed, but it's not... I think I sent you a clip where I was like, I think this is a bad movie. Like, it's just... Yeah, it's not very interesting. Or, like... I kind of want to... I was going to do Yellow Submarine for our 420 episode, and I kind of wish I had. I'd like to watch Help, because I remember liking Help. Funny story.
So...
Help, I remember...
So you're giving a mostly negative review? So you're lowering it?
I am. This is going to be one of those ones. It's going from a 98% to a 97%. Jordan, Jordan, it's still fresh. It's still a fresh movie. But yeah, this was one of those ones where, yeah, if you don't like the Beatles, you're probably not going to like this movie.
And in the case of you, apparently, even if you do like the Beatles, you're not going to like this movie.
I only liked the bits where it was the songs I liked. Which considering I only liked like 3 songs from It's a Hard Day's Night, it was really only like 3 songs. I like Can't Buy Me Love. It's a good song. Also,
Can't Buy Me Love.
Like, the funny thing about a funny thing about the Beatles is the reason they stopped touring is people wouldn't stop screaming at their concerts, so they couldn't hear themselves playing the instruments. Like, there's a really famous the concert where they were in Japan. I can't remember the name of the stadium, something stadium. But it's a really famous Beatles concert that they couldn't hear themselves play. So they like the fact that they're all in tune. I'll send you the clip of it. It's incredible. But the fact that they're playing the instruments in tune, on beat, in rhythm is incredible because they couldn't hear it. Like, they couldn't hear the music. And like, I don't get it as a person in 2024. I'm like, I'm spending $50 to $60, $70 on a ticket. I want to be able to hear the artist perform. Like, what's the joy in just going to a concert and screaming? Like, where's the fun in that? Also,
I mean, not to mention that my throat would be killing me.
Right? And another funny bit is when they're like running away from I mean, you've seen the clips of them running away from the screaming girls. I'm always like, what would happen if they caught them? What would they do?
Hug them and not let them go and rip them apart.
I
got his leg! I got his leg!
Oh my god, I got his finger! His glorious, sexy finger!
I got his underwear!
That's it. It's a hard day's night. And I've been working like a dog. It's been a hard day's night.
Alright. So, then I guess it's time we move on to the have scenes.
We're gonna have seen. Jordan, you should do the story of Toy.
Oh, that was always the plan.
Good, you should do that first.
Because the first one that I saw was Toy Story.
What's the story?
So fun story about this toy is that originally it was going to be Tinny and Woody was going to be a ventriloquist doll, and that didn't pan out. And then there's the Black Friday cut where, man, Woody was a monster.
The Black Friday cut.
Woody intentionally tosses Woody or tosses Buzz out the window, and then the rest of the toys are just mean, and he's mean, and it's all mean. And I'm like, for a thing that was supposed to be for children, I don't know why they ever thought this was a good idea.
Wait, so did you actually watch the Black Friday cut?
There's a little clip of it, a small clip of it, which is on YouTube that you can watch.
That's funny.
Where you see it's the storyboarding where Woody tosses, he grabs Buzz's hand and he tosses him out the window, and then he's up on the bed, and Mr. Potato and Ham and them get up on the bed, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? Off the bed! off the bed. And then he's like, Slinky, get up here, get them off the bed. And he's acting like a real.
Oh yeah, I have
dick.
seen that, and it's still voiced by Tom Hanks, and it sounds awful.
Yeah. It sounds so jarring,
I've
and
seen a
it's
couple
so
of them.
bad. And
My favorite one is the one where he's the ventriloquist dummy, and Buzz is the little toy, and he knocks him behind the desk, and he's like, "I'll never find him back there," and he's just got his hand behind his back, and it's awful.
yeah, and I'm just like, man, I am glad that they changed it and that we got the version that we did.
Right?
Because the real version.
I need you to move your camera up, because right now we're getting like the bottom half of your face. There we go. There we go.
You're getting the Batman effect.
There we go. Now I can
where you get just the chin.
There
and the logo. You got the logo.
Got the logo. There we go.
Yeah, no, this movie is, I mean, it revolutionized it.
Absolutely.
3D movie, like it was a game changer, and
absolutely, it is starting to look slightly dated. I will concede that.
Well, I mean, it did
Pixar,
come out in 1995.
Poor Pixar could not animate humans to save their lives.
No one could at that time.
It's rough. That's good.
It was a brand new adventure.
Buzz Lightyear.
Not a flying toy.
Not a flying toy.
Yeah, I mean, oh man. So what can be said about this one?
My thing is, like, I was a child in 1995, and we never all gathered around one single action figure that we tossed on a bed. That never happened.
I mean, to be fair, at 1995, when I was 4 years old, by all definitions, we were kind of poor.
Yeah, but even then.
So we didn't have the newest, brand new. We didn't have the Rock'em Sock'ems, like the you put the rubber things on your hand, you beat your siblings. We didn't have the fanciest brand new. So maybe if we had, then because the point of Buzz is he is supposed to be like a brand new, like literally just off the shelf toy, right? So yeah, no one else would have had him. You would have been cool. Yeah. You would have been like Andy would have been the popular kid.
See.
And then there's poor Sid, the underprivileged kid who lives next door, whose dad is day drinking in the middle of the day, asleep in front of the TV.
His dad is day drinking. I think I pointed that out last time.
And whose parents don't supervise him and let him buy explosives and play with them in the backyard, who gets traumatized by living toys.
I mean, it's true.
So all I'm saying is that the fact that they both live side by side is kind of unbelievable.
Yeah, he's too old for it to be cute. It's a serious problem at his age.
Also, fun behind the scenes story about how movies can influence children into doing stupid things. I have a vivid memory of this, of upstairs in one of our bedrooms. After having watched this movie, I attempted to recreate the scene where Sid bangs his head against the window, and I did that, and it cracked the window. Oops. And then my mother had to replace the window and was like, "What were you doing?" And like was checking my forehead for shattered glass.
Whoops.
I will never forget that. And my uncle at the time, I believe, worked with glass and was able to repair it for cheap. But
whoops.
Yeah, no, children will imitate things they see in movies. I know because I did.
It's true. It's true. Yo, but can you see the hat? I am Mrs. Nesbit. Was the hat too much?
That was too much.
Academy training ruined.
Years of Academy training, and that's Toy Story 1. Which, I mean, there's going to be a fifth one.
There is going to be a fifth one. So that just leads lovely into Toy Story 2. And it's funny, speaking of Toy Story 5, when we talked about Toy Story 4, and we were like, oh, that's the period where you start picking apart the universe. And, like, this movie is kind of where you start to pick apart the universe, because in Toy Story 1, I'm not recapping the plot of Toy Story 2. You've all seen it. But in Toy Story 1, Rex knows that he's from a factory in Japan. Japan, right?
I'm from Mattel. Well, I'm not really from Mattel. I'm from a subsidiary of Mattel,
Right.
Mattel, which is yada 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 yada.
So, you're left with the question. You're left with the question: why does Buzz think he's a real space ranger? And that, what is that? Is he the only one that happens to? So then in this one, you find out that Woody has this intricate backstory where he's part of a ensemble television series that he doesn't remember that he's a part of. Why doesn't
He doesn't. He doesn't know that he's a part
Right.
of. Not remember.
Why doesn't he know? Well, yeah, but okay. I'm going to say remember because if the logic is that when they become... Well, you would assume that, like Buzz, he thought he was Woody. Right? If he is a character from a thing, then you would assume that, like Buzz, when he was initially created, he would think that he was Woody, right? So he doesn't remember thinking he was Woody.
We're gonna go off the logic because we're on the second one. We're gonna. There's no 3. There's no 4. So we're gonna just go off of what we see in 1 and 2. Yes. I would, at this point in time, having seen what we saw in the first one, assume that all of the toys, at some point, depending, and maybe it's influenced by how much character, but then you could argue if it's based off of the child's belief, maybe the reason why Buzz thinks he's so real is because Andy has the box which has the story on it, and so he knows the story of Buzz, and that puts his belief into. And so maybe the reason why Woody doesn't know the backstory is because Andy didn't know the backstory, and thus Woody doesn't know the backstory.
Your thing falls apart when Rex knows that he's from Mattel, but not Mattel, a subsidiary of Mattel. How does Rex have that information about himself?
But see, we know we know that the toys are living a day-to-day life. So you could infer because they watch TV and stuff,
okay,
right? Like especially in the second one, we see that they watch TV. So I mean, Rex could have just found out from TV.
So that's my number one thing is why doesn't Woody know this backstory that he clearly, according to the rules of this universe, should know. Also, and this is a conclusion I came to. Everyone is like, Beauty and the Beast is Stockholm Syndrome. No, this movie is fucking Stockholm Syndrome. Okay, this movie is Stockholm Syndrome. This is my hot take. Buzz is a kidnapped victim who begins to identify with his kidnappers and go against his very wishes and is ultimately brainwashed into wanting to go to Japan. When he initially shows up there, he doesn't want to go to Japan.
Oh,
you mean
Woody?
Yeah, Woody. Woody is Stockholm Syndrome. He has Stockholm Syndrome in this movie. He is identified with his kidnappers.
You know what? I can see the argument.
He has identified when he initially shows up. He does not. He wants to go home, but then by the end of his time there, they gaslit him into wanting and guilted him into wanting to go and brainwashed him into wanting to go to Japan.
I would go one step further, and this is kind of even reinforced with a particular scene in the movie. I would go one step further and say it's not just Stockholm Syndrome; it's a cult.
I'm just saying.
Woody joins a cult.
Woody joins a cult
because
with a sad
there's literally the scene where they're all walking towards him with a creepy
right?
Smiley face as they're slowly walking towards him and are like, "Join us, Woody. Join our cult."
I found myself frustrated with Jesse, who kept trying to make Woody feel like shit for something he didn't choose. Like, he didn't choose to be here. He was kidnapped. And you're making me feel guilty for not wanting to...
He's property, Justin. He was stolen.
He was kidnapped. It makes me feel better to say kidnapped. He was kidnapped, and he's here against his will, and you're gonna make him feel like shit for wanting to go home
to his kid that he still has.
That he still has. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, Jesse?
I mean, she drank the Kool-Aid. She joined the cult.
Part of the cult.
One of us.
I suppose you can't talk about Toy Story 2 without talking about the fact that it nearly got deleted. It nearly got deleted off of somebody, and some random Pixar employee saved it. It also was initially
wait, like during production?
Yeah,
or?
during production. Yeah, it was on some sort of hard drive. Did you not know that?
Someone almost got
Yeah, they almost had
fired.
to remake the whole thing. It was also initially
No, I didn't know that.
supposed to be a straight to DVD movie, which you can absolutely tell, and it also was rewritten. It initially was going to be a Buzz movie, and then they rewrote it to be a Woody movie. There's a video out there. I'll send it to you whenever I think of it. That's about the original version of it, which was mainly a Buzz movie, and you can kind of tell because there's a lot of like conflicting story themes of like, okay, so it appears to be about like learning to accept the passage of time, but then there's also a little bit about how the toys take Woody for granted. So it just kind of feels like at one point that's what the movie was about. The movie was about him feeling underappreciated because the whole him being a star of his own show thing, it seems to be payoff to a story bit that isn't in the previous movie. Like him being all excited about being a famous star of a show has nothing to do with his storyline.
His fear of being replaced.
Of being replaced or being broken. That has nothing
Yeah.
to do with that storyline. And so it feels like Stinky Pete was a villain that was added late in production. Like he feels like a late addition to the script where like they needed a villain and his whole bit about being against space toys. Like those are all conflicting ideas that feel like they're from a different script.
I never thought about that.
The other thing is the movie wants you to think that Al is a loser by the fact that he's passed out in front of the television with Cheetos all over his fingers. But I'm just saying.
Oh, not just that. It's also because he's fat.
And he's fat. That too.
He's a fat, overweight man who is sitting in front of the TV with cheesy fingers and plays with toys. So you're supposed to perceive him as a loser,
right? Even though he has a successful business with multiple employees who open the store while he's not there. Like that is a market size business. That's not like a little like street corner store. That's like a Toys R Us level like size store. Like it's a decent sized store. He is successful.
I'm just saying, like even if he's just the manager, then he's still doing well.
Right? Like what am I gonna say? Am I gonna say that him stealing Woody ultimately is like wrong? If you look at this from the perspective of the toys aren't alive, am I gonna say him stealing Woody is wrong from that child? Yeah, it's obviously wrong. But also like from his perspective, he put those very expensive products on a plane, got to Japan, and they just disappeared.
They're just gone.
Like you know how much money they're worth?
His cases are and it's not even just that it would have appeared like the cases were lost, because no, the cases would have showed up.
Oh, that's
it's
true.
just the cases would have just been empty. So it would have by all appearances looked like one of the people at the airport stole his property.
Yeah, just stole his, and it's not even
I'm just saying my man Al is absolutely suing that air company and making so much money, potentially enough money to buy said air travel carrier.
That's what I'm saying. Because you're right. That's a valid point. It's not all of the stuff that just disappeared. It's just Stinky Pete.
It's just Stinky Pete, James or Jesse, the Bullseye, and Woody.
Right, like the
cases are still there.
Right? Along with all the rest of the merchandise. But they're gone. So you're right. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, from his perspective, it looks like someone at the airline opened up the cases and stole them. That's even worse.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the cases would absolutely arrive there. That's so funny. Also, the fact that the Wheezy is Robert Goulet is also funny.
I feel a song coming on.
Yeah, I definitely think it's like the lesser thought of Toy Story movie, because everyone talks about the first one and the third one. It definitely is like that redheaded stepchild.
This is the ugly stepchild. Yeah, the middle child.
The middle child of it. It's also funny. The Disney Plus version cuts out. It's also the era of Pixar movies, which I personally think they should bring back, where they animated bloopers.
This one has the Bugs Life one.
Yeah, which is like when you think about it, is really funny because bloopers are organic. Like you don't fake those. Like they happen organically. So a lot of these bloopers are like laughs, right? They would have had to like think these out and fake them and act them, and
Yeah. And
Um,
in terms of like ones like this where it's the Bugs Life people, you would have had to bring in the Bugs Life people specifically
right,
to do these bloopers.
right. But the Disney Plus,
Bloopers slash cameos, because in terms of like this, I consider it a cameo.
right? Although their scale felt weird. I'm like, I don't think they're that small.
I don't know, they're bugs.
But there's a joke that the Disney Plus version cut out. They cut out. There's a casting couch joke.
Oh yeah.
That they cut
With
out
the Barbies, the Barbie
Barbie's
dolls.
Sneaky Pete. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, is that gonna be in there? Nope. They very much deleted it. I understand why. But yeah, no, I had a good, definitely worth 100%. Although it's funny, I 2 of the Toy Story movies get 100%, but the third one does not, or the fourth one.
Which is funny to me because I personally think maybe this is a hot opinion, but I think the third one's better than the second one.
I agree. I think the third one's better than the second one too.
So if one of them should get the 100%, I think it's the third one, not the second one.
Right. The third one, the second one, in my opinion, kind of just like there's some fun stuff with, but it also does that thing where it does draw attention to the universe again because there's multiple versions of Buzz who all think they're Buzz Lightyear. Also, that joke about how Zurg is his father is funny now in retrospect. Buzz, I am your father. Actually, no, I'm you from the future, but an alternate because if you consider the fact that Zurg and Buzz are canonically now supposed to be the Chris Evans and the version of him from that movie. But Buzz, I am your father, but I'm not actually your father. I'm you from the future, but not you from the alternate you from an alternate future. It's confusing.
It's the Marvel version of time travel.
That's funny though.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact about the Buzz Lightyear Star Command television series, Wayne Knight, who plays Al in this movie, plays Zurg on that show.
Does he actually?
Yeah.
Huh. I never knew that. That's funny.
Yeah, it's the same voice actor. Wayne Knight, I think his name is?
Yeah, that makes sense. The guy from Jurassic Park.
Yeah. The guy from Jurassic Newman from Seinfeld. Newman. That's it. That's Toy Story 2. That's the Toy Story movies.
Okay. So my second
handy little gonna be their own little videos there.
My second have seen was the Lego Movie, which came out in 2014. This is the only one that wasn't 100%. This one was like 96%, I believe.
I thought you were saying this is the only Lego movie that's not 100%. I was gonna be like, really? The other Lego movies got 100%, but you're saying this is only one on our list. Was it 98%?
Which 96, I believe it was.
Oh, that's right within that threshold.
Let me go double check. But I like this movie. Also, it's kind of brilliant from we're a kids movie and making toys for children.
Yeah, absolutely.
Things.
Absolutely.
This was 96%.
Okay.
Because everything you see in this is either already was a Lego set, or if it wasn't at the time, it is now.
It sure is now.
And there's also just a lot of, like, you can make fun of a lot of things in this. The fact that they had Lego Batman was at the time very funny.
Right? No, Batman.
I like the voice acting. Morgan Freeman is a treasure in everything he's in, and nothing you can say will convince me otherwise.
My favorite bit is when he comes back as a ghost and he's just on a stick.
Yeah. The animation felt like it was actual Lego, which was impressive for the time.
Yeah, considering that it is entirely. I remember at the time, I think I Googled, like, it looked like it was like they actually did stop motion. No, it's CGI, but it looks better than, because at the time they had already done a bunch of Lego movies. Like, it looks more Lego than the Lego Batman movies. Not the.
I'm pretty sure.
Not the Will Arnett one, but the.
Oh, there's other ones.
Yeah. There's one. Yeah, it's funny because in that Lego Dimensions game.
Yeah.
Yeah, both the Lego movie, Lego Batman, and the one from the Lego Batman movies, is in that game, and they interact, and they're different. They're played by
Oh,
different
that's
voice actors.
funny.
Yeah, but those movies are
That
way
game is
cheaper.
funny. As an aside, that game was funny because there was like the different character reactions and stuff between them all was very funny. Like I saw a compilation once where it was Lego Batman reacting to different characters and stuff,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
one of them was him reacting to the Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz, and he's like, "Oh, it's the Scarecrow," and I think it's Gandalf is like wrong Scarecrow
That's pretty funny. Yeah,
or something to that effect.
that game has the characters from this movie. I'm pretty sure Emmett
Yeah,
and Wildstar are in it.
Wildstyle is one of the main ones that you like. She's one of the main ones that you get. It's Wildstyle, Gandalf, and I believe Lego Batman are the three main ones, and
That's
then
funny.
you buy all the other
That
ones
was
as part
cool
of
in
the.
concept, but like just too expensive to like keep up with.
Oh, it was a brilliant marketing like on their end of things where it's like, yeah, you're selling Lego bits which are part of the toy line which people can then play in the video game, but in order to play them in the video game they have to have the physical thing. Like brilliant from their
And
stand,
thi-
their side of
this
things.
movie is way better than it has any right to be. Like
Oh,
it should be
absolutely.
terrible. It should be terrible, and yet for whatever reason it works. Like and every element that like you're like when you say it out loud. Oh, it turns out that it's all in Will Ferrell's basement, and his kids ruin his Lego set. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You get the ones over here that you don't touch. And yeah, see, the kids watch that
This
and
is
see
this is for daddy.
yeah, right. I just watched that movie and I'm like, I just see a grown adult who's put a lot of time into creating this set, and the kids came along and ruined it.
Right?
But yeah, that twist at the end where it's like, oh, there's an element of this that's live action shouldn't work. Like it just shouldn't. It shouldn't work. You should be like, oh my god, this is stupid. But it does. I guess because it's so
Yeah.
honest. I don't know.
Well, I think it's just an example of, and just this is just generally, for most of the characters, the cast elevates it.
Yeah, they don't.
Like Chris
Also,
Pratt is doing very well as Emmett. Nick Offerman is there. Charlie Day, Liam Neeson, Morgan Freeman. It's just got such a star-studded cast.
this one doesn't. This one doesn't do that
then-
thing where it tries to over-explain the universe like the next one does. Where it's like, are
Yeah,
they
there's a
real?
reason why. There's a reason why there's not a third one.
This is true. The reason why there's not a third one is because Ninjago bombed at the box office, and the studio went, "Oh, maybe people aren't into everything being Lego."
But no, yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy this movie.
Well, it's a combination. It was the second one reviewed poorly. I don't think it did super well, and then Batman did okay, and then Ninjago did terribly.
Ninjago. Point is that Ninjago was the nail in the coffin.
Pretty much. Although Ninjago has a funny joke in it, yeah, where it's "Hello, Lloyd." No,
It's Lloyd.
It's Lloyd. No, I would know. I named you.
I named you. It's Lloyd.
That was funny. That made me laugh. I mean, yeah, the stupid song it's an earworm.
Everything is awesome.
I will say that the joke in the next one that they just
Everything
literally
is
called
cool
the
when you're part of a team.
song. The joke
In the
next
second one, everything's not awesome.
No, my favorite joke in that movie is how they literally just deconstructed that song to just be like, this song's gonna get stuck inside you. This song's gonna get stuck inside you. Because that's what happened with the last one. It also won an Oscar, I believe. I believe it won Best Song, if I'm not mistaken.
The first one?
The second
no.
one. No, the Everything is Awesome. I'm pretty sure it won an Oscar for Best Song. I'm pretty sure. I'm reasonably certain.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Not sure. But I like it. It's a good movie. It's one that I enjoy when I watch it.
Yeah, whenever anyone's like, Chris Pratt's a bad voice actor, I'm like, but Lego Movie was fun.
I don't think so much that people say that he's a bad voice actor. I think at this point people say he's an overused voice actor.
Alas, Jordan, no, it's the internet. That's way too much nuance.
Anyways, that's the Lego Movie. I don't have much more to say about it.
The Lego Movie.
That is all of my have scenes.
So, okay. So when I realized that the 100% list was not valid, but it wasn't doing anything for me in terms of choices, I was like, you know what? I kind of want to watch that Mr. Rogers movie. And I looked at it, and it barely skates by at 95%. And this is the biopic starring Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers. And it's not really about Mr. Rogers so much as it is about this gentleman who is a new father. He has a wife, and he is a writer who is known for not being nice to his subjects that he writes about. Nobody wants to be interviewed by him, and he needs to get an interview. And so his editor forces an interview with Mr. Rogers upon him, which he doesn't want to do initially because he's like, I don't do puff pieces. And she's like, just go write this article. And he is off-put by... He goes and he meets Mr. Rogers, who is this kind of seemingly nice, eccentric old man who is just nice to everyone. And he sets out to basically prove that Mr. Rogers is not what he seems, and that there's something about him that is fake, and that this Mr. Rogers character is just that, a character, and that he is not a perfect person. And the movie is basically him discovering that Mr. Rogers really is that nice. And it's a really sweet movie. It's really sweet. It's the bond between Mr. Rogers and the guy is really sweet. The Chris Cooper, I can't think of something you would know Chris Cooper from, but he's in it as the dad who the guy is sort of what's the word? Disconnected from. Hasn't really spoken, so they're sort of getting together, and the whole thing is kind of done via framing device as an episode of Mr. Rogers. So like the movie opens with him doing the intro, like they recreate the intro, he walks in, he sings the song, and he pulls out like a little board, and the narrative of the movie is told via Mr. Rogers as though this was an episode. And there's a really kind of freaky sequence later on in the movie where the guy, his dad's in the hospital, and he goes to like, he runs out and he goes to see Mr. Rogers, and he ends up passing out and like hallucinating that he's on the Mr. Rogers show, like as a character, as a puppet, as it's being performed around. That's kind of honestly a little upsetting.
Yeah,
yeah, and it's to me it's so funny that Mr. Rogers, that he was so nice that they couldn't find any drama. And that's maybe my one criticism of the movie, which would be that it presents him like they do eventually introduce the wife, who, and this was a very important thing to them in real life as well, that the family, that people knew that Mr. Rogers was not a saint. Like everyone says Mr. Rogers is a saint and he's perfect, and they very much wanted people to know that he's not perfect. And there's a point where the writer meets the wife. The writer is fictional, but there are elements of the story that are biographical. Like they called it a biopic, but I wouldn't call it that because it's not really based on Mr. Rogers' life. But yeah, there's a point where the writer meets the wife, and the wife is like, yeah, we prefer, she calls him Raj, and he's like, why do you call him Raj? And she's like, well, we don't call him Mr. Rogers at home. And she's like, I'm his wife, and she's like a seemingly normal person, and like in the movie, Mr. Rogers is sort of presented as this like perfect human who nothing really seems to bother him. It really reminded me of Saving Mr. Banks, where they never show you any of the negative qualities of Walt Disney, going so far as to like they have a bit where he's clearly smoking, but they like cut away. This is kind of similar, where like they constantly portray him as being nice, like overly nice, like way too nice, like almost saint-like, like he's like this perfect human, and they try to lampshade it by being like, oh, he's not perfect, but that's not how he's presented in the movie. Like, and at the end of the, like, there's a point where Mr. Rogers has this like, what do you do when you get upset conversation with the guy, sort of slowly breaking down his walls. And Mr. Rogers like, what I do when I get upset is I smash a piano. Like and the thing I learned is that Mr. Rogers is a very talented piano player, and the movie ends with him like crashing on the piano and getting upset because he's frustrated, and that's supposed to show you that, oh, even Mr. Rogers gets frustrated, but it's such a small moment that you can miss it, and it's not, he's not really presented as being human. And so I because I watched the movie and I was really became fascinated by Mr. Rogers, I chose to watch, also 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, I chose to watch the documentary "Won't You Be My Neighbor" to learn about Mr. Rogers. And the fascinating thing about Mr. Rogers is Mr. Rogers is not perfect, and that documentary does a really good job of being like, yeah, he was a nice guy, but he was still a ordained Protestant pastor. He was still a deeply religious man, and he was
with all that implies.
With all that implies, and so he was really against fun a lot of times. So his reasoning for wanting to do television was he hated superheroes. He hated like action stuff like Power Rangers, anything that was violent. He hated all of that, and it would make him mad. He would get mad, and he would go on television and complain about it. And he was a priest, and the thing that was kind of remarkable about him was in this documentary they made the point like he would preach to you, but the beautiful thing about it was you didn't realize you were being preached to. And I think that's like the when anyone talks about Jesus and who is the truest deliverer of Jesus' message, it was Mr. Rogers. Because Mr. Rogers, he would get upset because people would make fun of him or get on his case and be like, oh, you're too nice, you're too kind, you're too compassionate. And he would get confused and be like, but that's the message. Like that's what Jesus wanted. And yeah, I just think that's just his ability to deliver this idea of like everyone is deserving of kindness and respect, and like love is important. And I do think like when people are like, oh, where does your morality come from? It comes from Mr. Rogers. Like that's where it comes from. It's from that idea of like, yeah, you just treat everyone nicely. Like it's not that hard. Mm-hmm. It's just an easy thing to do. And it's funny because his show, when you watch like some of the ideas for his show, it's so basic. Like there's a really funny moment in the Tom Hanks movie where he's struggling to set up a tent, this pop-up tent. He's struggling, and eventually he gives up. And they say, oh, we could have it just set up for you. And he's like, no, leave in the bit where it gets set up so you see that even children can see that even adults struggle. And then I looked up the actual blooper that this is based on, which is it's a real thing. And the actual blooper, he struggles with it for a while. Then at a certain point, he just gives up and he walks away. And he does like a good-natured laugh, but he like kicks the tent in frustration. So it's like, no, he got mad. Like he got angry.
He was human.
Yeah, he was human. Or like there's a really funny story they told about, there's a running bit in the movie where he's taking pictures of people with like a disposable camera. And apparently that's based on a real thing that happened in real life, where they would have these disposable cameras around the set and they would all take pictures of each other. And because of how cameras worked back then, you wouldn't develop the pictures until sometimes months later. And so you develop the picture and you'd be like, what's with this one random picture? So as pranks, you'd take and so the one producer, he took a picture of his butt, of his ass on Mr. Rogers' camera. And months later, he went to his office and there was a big blown up version of this guy's ass that Mr. Rogers had blown up and made into a poster and hung it in this guy's office. So like, yeah, Mr. Rogers had a dirty sense of humor, and I like, that's great. That's awesome. The more I watched, the more he reminded me of like, yeah, I'm like my grandpa, where it's like, yeah, he had a cheeky side. He very much had a cheeky side. And another bit that was kind of blew my mind was there's a scene in the movie which made me go, there's no way this happened. Like this had to be fictional, where he's riding on the subway. And a kid's like, hey, Mr. Rogers, and the entire subway car starts singing the "It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood" to him, and he sings along, and it's a great time. You're like, oh, this is a really sweet moment. It's clearly fictional. But no, I found it in that documentary. No, that actually happened. Like, he moved to the Bronx in New York, and he lived in a little apartment with his wife, and he got to know the neighborhood, and he would walk around the neighborhood, and people recognized him, and like, yeah, like he was just this seemingly just this nice guy who was a person.
Just wanted to be decent.
He just wanted to be decent, and the world kind of seemingly punished him for that by making fun of him. And like, yeah, like the idea that it's the same thing with Bob Ross. I want to talk about the Bob Ross documentary, because his story is the same way, where it's a guy who's just a nice guy, but because the world is cynical, can't just trust that he's a nice guy, can't just believe that he's selfless, and has to attach some sort of malice to him. And I just found that funny that instead of being like, oh no, the biopic, instead of being like, oh no, he has edges and he is a complicated person, and maybe showing some of those edges in a movie, because like, yeah, he didn't have a great relationship with his kids. Like showing some edges of Mr. Rogers instead of just alluding to them, maybe that would have been a slightly more interesting. But you can't, with Mr. Rogers, you can't do that. And I found that to be fascinating.
Oh, really? No.
Like, he's such a good person that his biopic has to be about discovering that he's a good person. Like,
yeah,
that was so interesting. Yeah, and it's it's really quite sweet and touching, and it's totally worth.
And you're showing that he's a person with maybe some light rough edges.
Right,
you can't
exactly.
show like the deep edges,
Right.
but like some light edges.
Like, this movie almost implies, because like there's a character who is essentially characterized as being Mr. Rogers' like protector. He keeps him safe from all the real world stuff that is involved in being in show business or whatever. And it's like they act as though he's like autistic almost. Like that's how we kind of, whereas like the documentary is like no, he was a real person who got pissed off about stuff. Like he got mad, and he would funnel that energy into delivering that message on television or playing music. I also discovered, he was a very talented musician, and also he's not without his problems. Like the guy, there was a police officer character on the show, and he was gay, and he would go to gay clubs, and Mr. Rogers like at one point pulled him aside and was like, yeah, no, we can't have that shit. We're on PBS on a kids show. You gotta bury that shit down, and you can't be doing that,
or at least hide it better.
Yeah, because the advertisers are not okay with that. But it's like the guy who's saying it, he's saying it as though he was hurt by this, but it's framed as though like this was the 1960s. The world wasn't cool back then. Like, it's not, but people tend to use that as a framing device to be like, well, Mr. Rogers wouldn't support the trans community or the gay community, and it's like, well, no. He then later in the documentary, because he very famously bathed his feet with a black gentleman, which it was 1960s, unheard of. So later on, he sent a letter to this guy being like, you're my friend, whatever, accepting him as being gay. So it's like, no, Mr. Rogers was human. He learned, he evolved. So no, he probably would be completely supportive of trans people, because that's just how he was. He was love thy neighbor no matter what that neighbor did.
I think he just would have been accepting of everyone.
Yeah,
that's the thing. He wouldn't have specifically necessarily been like, I support this or I support that. He would have been like, love everyone.
Yeah,
because that's Jesus's message. Like, love your neighbor.
Yeah, and
regardless of your perceived flaws that they may have, love them anyway.
But I think he just sort of proves that there is a way, like that there is a fundamental good to this stuff that you could teach to kids without the baggage of the badness when it comes to religion.
You can. The thing is that religion, the central message is usually good, and if you can teach that without all the doctrine and or the dogma that comes along with it,
I would also take it.
Then
it's also a good word.
Then that's the ideal situation in my eyes.
I completely agree. But yeah, no, I enjoyed these movies. Yeah, he's a very interesting fellow. Yeah, I want to to wrap up. The Bob Ross documentary is also very fascinating too, because his story, short version of that, is that he ran into a couple who basically took advantage of him and his brand.
Well, when we eventually when you eventually get us to do that documentary episode that you keep talking about,
I know.
That'll be your perfect opportunity.
It's funny because every time I'm like, I don't think there's enough. I'm reminded of another documentary that I like. That I'm like, oh yeah, because if we do a documentary, you can watch the Mr. Rogers one that I watched today, and then I can watch the Bob Ross one.
We'll talk.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
All of my people call your
that's
people.
That's the Mr. Rogers movies. They're both interesting. They're both good. Both worth checking out.
So
I should say I would bump up because I'm giving it a positive review, I would bump up the Tom Hanks one to 96%.
Ooh. So, okay, we're gonna move on to have-not
We're
scenes.
into the have-not
So
scenes.
now I need to ask you, Justin. Are you happy right now after that Mr. Rogers fest? You're
am.
you're at a high right now, right?
You're-
You're in a good place emotionally.
I'm gonna answer your question with a question. Are you doing this specifically because we just finished talking about Mr. Rogers?
Well, I'm doing this because I don't want to end the show on a depressing note. But we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. We do. I subjected myself to this. We have to talk about it.
Yeah, we have to talk about it. We have to find a way to talk about it. Trigger warning for what's about to
I watched Grave of the Fireflies.
Oh no.
Which is
oh my. Cut to Anna being like, when this eventually becomes a video, I'm gonna cut in Anna being like, oh no. Which you get now. Get now. You get why they did that. Yeah, you absolutely get it.
I do. I get why Soraya did that. Yeah. And okay.
It's hard. It's a hard movie to talk about because it requires you describing unpleasant things happening to a very small child.
So we're gonna dance around certain things, but we're gonna begin this by saying this is 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I understand why it is. I don't know that I think it should be.
I mean, it is because every person gave it a positive review, which you're ultimately going to do.
Yes and no.
Because it is a piece of art. That is a piece of art. This movie is a piece of art. Unfortunately.
Well, that's why I say I understand why it is, but
it is beautiful and moving and touching and well animated and well acted. Even the dub is good.
We've heard your thoughts. This is time for me to stumble. This is time for me to stumble through my words. If they want to hear you talk about it, they can go back to that other one.
That's why I'm doing that. So I'm doing a preface, but because there's gonna be a but.
So this takes place in 1945. It's during the Pacific War. It's a war movie. Mm-hmm. That should give you a very strong impression of what comes along in this. Now, that being said, it's a Ghibli movie, so it is. You're right. It is beautifully animated, and the moments because there are happy moments. There are moments where the brother and sister, they even through the tough times that they're going through, the strong familial bond that they have is really cute.
It is
like really him doing his best to give her a good life, even through the struggles that they're going through, is very touching. Like it is. There's no two words about it.
Yeah.
And it gets dark. Oh boy, does it get dark. But like I said, I understand why it is well received and why people feel the way they do about it. I will never watch it again.
Oh Lord, no. I will never ever subject I would subject myself to it for money, but that's the only thing, and it have to be a decent amount of money.
Because it's really the last
experience. Yeah, it really is.
It's really the last 30 minutes.
Absolutely, it's
where
I think I said it was like a gauntlet of unpleasantness. It's just one hit after another. You're like it's the kind of movie where you're like, this is entirely too happy. Something has to go wrong.
But it goes really wrong. So spoiler alert. Sister dies.
She dies.
We're not gonna give specifics, but she dies, and it's sad. Very, 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 very sad. Upsettingly sad. Almost unreasonably sad. And then shortly after that, the brother also dies, which you knew that he does because right from the beginning, he's his spirit is like, this is about how I die.
Yeah.
So you knew there's no surprise there. You knew, and you see the sister there as well in the when he's talking like he's dead, realm of the dead. So there's no surprise about what's coming. Right from the beginning,
Yeah,
you know where
you know
this is
he's gonna
headed
die.
towards.
You know he's gonna die, and
It's
you just don't know how.
it's really just about the journey of how we get there, and it is a sad journey. It really is a anybody with a soul should watch this, and they will understand why war is awful.
Oh yeah, this movie is very much a symposium on why war is
War
awful.
is awful.
And it is a thing of like, yeah, your perspective on World War II is different depending on who you are, because technically speaking, and really when it comes to war, nobody wins, but like technically speaking, yeah, that Pacific War, you did not want the Japanese people to win.
Right, but the thing that this movie and a lot of war movies really kind of emphasize is the civilians aren't the ones that are at fault.
No,
These
no,
are just
exactly.
people.
Exactly.
These are just people, and especially in this movie, these are just kids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, my thing is the
Like,
aunt.
they had
that was
no
one where I was
idea.
like, clearly, I'm not picking on something culturally here because I don't get why she's such a massive bitch.
The aunt, you mean?
Yeah. Like,
Well,
I
I mean,
I'm like, there's something culturally or within the time period I'm just not getting, and I recognize that. That's not,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
not me
Well,
criticizing the
it's
character or the movie. That's me being like, I don't get this because I'm not
she's
Japanese.
she's upset because I get it, but I still think she's unreasonable. But she's upset because she's got two mouths to feed in a time where they're on rations. They don't have enough to feed their own family, and now she has two more mouths who aren't doing anything or contributing
Yeah, but
anything
they're kids, man.
from a societal stand. But the argument that she makes in the movie is that they're just not appreciative. If the one kid, if the older kid had apologized, she would have kept them and kept feeding them.
It's definitely one of those things where that felt like a thing where if I watched the Japanese version, it probably would play differently than it. That felt like it might be a dub thing.
I feel like that's the case. And it's, yeah, I mean, what else can be said? It's upsetting. Now, that being said, there's a live action version.
There is, yeah. I still feel that they handled the death of the sister respectfully. I still stand by that. Like, at the very least, it's not like he holds her in his arms and like he doesn't no. Like, it's very like matter of fact.
It's solemn.
Yeah,
it's very solemn.
It's like, yeah, he doesn't like cry or he compartmentalizes it, and it makes it. Don't get me wrong, I still cried at the end of it, but it's still it softens the blow a little bit.
Yeah, all I can say, I didn't literally cry. Very few movies make me literally cry. I almost did. I got misty. I almost did, but like I definitely like. I felt a tightness in my chest.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's like a gut punch, man.
Like
a gut punch watching this movie.
Like it hurt, and it was upsetting. That's the word that I would use for this movie, upsetting. But that's what it's trying to be.
I don't know that it's trying to be. I think it's just that story is, and to be fair, that story it's based on a book, I believe, and it's basically the author is the boy. And the actual version, he lives.
It's a semi-autographical book.
He lived, and the book is basically his apology, his perceived apology to his sister, because he for letting her die when he feels he should have saved her. When like my argument is like, man, you were a kid, you did the best you could. Like, I don't.
Yeah, but the argument. I agree, but the argument is that he's old enough. He should have known to apologize to his aunt and got his sister fed.
I mean, sure, but yeah.
So I can see this like in the mind of a child, the self guilt. Yeah. But I tend to agree with you. In that instance, his aunt should have been the bigger person. She was the adult.
She should have got over her own ego. But also, to be fair, I don't I don't think it's like it's not like his mother's sister. I think it's like a
great aunt or something.
Yeah, it's like quite a bit ways removed relative.
I just know that it's someone on his mother's side.
Yeah.
But
it's not like a direct relative. It's like a second cousin or something like that.
Well, I just know that so the live action movie, and this is the only reason why I'm slightly interested in watching it, is because
I can't, man.
the live action one is not about it's a different telling. So it's not from the perspective of these two kids. It's from the perspective of the cousin that's the aunt's daughter.
Yeah.
It's about her.
So they just leave midway. And she finds out her cousin died of horrid malnutrition.
I didn't read the full thing about all the plot. I just know that it said that it follows the cousin instead of them.
Interesting, because I saw a clip of it, or at least I didn't click on it, but it looks like the sister still dies sadly in it.
Sorry, hold on. Let's see. Yeah. Grave of the Fireflies 2005 film, a live-action TV drama adaptation of Grave of the Fireflies.
I heard it's not as good.
Made by NTV in Japan. Live-action version focuses on two siblings. Oh no, I guess maybe it is. Oh, there it is. Unlike the animated version, however, it tells the story from the point of view of their cousin, their aunt's daughter, and also deals with the issue of how the wartime environment could change a kind lady into a hard-hearted woman.
Oh, so it's about how it's justifying why the aunt turns into an awful person.
That's what it appears to be.
Okay, that explains. I heard it wasn't as good. I heard it wasn't nearly as good, and that explains why. She is not a character who needs softening, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, all I know is that the one that I watched was very upsetting.
Yeah,
very sad.
I saw a clip of with the sister dying in the live action version pop up when I did it the first time, and I didn't want to click on it. And I was like, I can't.
I couldn't. It was bad enough in animation.
Right.
I can't imagine watching that in live action.
No.
Like, no. Nope.
Not unless they don't do the particularly upsetting stuff.
Nope.
Okay. Oh,
Nope.
man. Yeah, some not happy stuff happens to that poor kid. Oof.
Both of them, quite honestly.
See, I was expecting.
Yeah.
I heard that we got to see the bomb go off, the Nagasaki. So I heard that was upsetting, and I was waiting for that the whole movie, and then it didn't happen. I was like, oh, maybe I misread. I mean, it was still upsetting. Don't get me wrong, but that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting to see someone's face get melted.
I didn't see that, but
no, it's not really what it's about. But yeah, when he goes off with her at the end of their ghosts, oof, man, harsh.
Oh man,
hard.
It's sad. It's a sad movie, and
very sad movie. Also, YouTube.
It was one of those.
Like
it was one of those. I watched this, and then I watched my following one, which was the following one had sad moments in it too, but by comparison, my God, it was just positively glowing with happiness.
Yeah.
But that's Grave of the Fireflies.
Fun behind the Spur of the Moment podcast scenes fact about Grave of the Fireflies. Yeah, YouTube doesn't like that movie very much because I tried to post a video of it and it would not let me put the trailer in. No matter what I did, it kept blocking the video when I put the trailer in, even though the trailer is on YouTube. It's really stupid. So I had to complain.
So this time you don't have to put the trailer in. You just put in scenes of you talking about it last time, and you combine them into one thing.
Because it ruined because the joke was like me being like, it's Grave of the Fireflies, and then the trailer play, and then it would not let me put it in. It's really frustrating. So Jordan, my aim this week, as I said, was to prove that 100% on Rotten Tomatoes nonsense was bullshit, and so on my two have not seens are. You're going to be like, wait, really? Hold on. I just want to make sure you're going to be like, wait, really? And I'm going to be like, okay, no, they both don't have 100%, but one has 97%. So, it's close. We'll do the 100% one last. So my first have not seen is a movie called, cause I was going to watch Sinners. I hear it's really good. I've had multiple people recommend it to me, and I thought it was on digital, and then it wasn't. So I had to repivot last minute this morning. So my first have not seen is Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. Because Beavis and Butthead was 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. And
that feels high.
I know. And
that feels high until you realize that it's just defined by people giving positive reviews, and a lot of people have strong nostalgia for Beavis and Butthead for some reason.
Right? Like, here's the thing: I don't get Beavis and Butthead. I'm just gonna start this off by before I describe this movie to you, I need to say I don't get Beavis and Butthead. I've never gotten Beavis and Butthead. I'm a juvenile person, and even I'm like, I find them juvenile.
So here's the funny thing.
The appeal.
Here's the funny thing, this this goes back to your Wallace and Gromit cultural relevance thing. Beavis and Butthead are culturally relevant. They're so culturally relevant that let me finish. That I growing up know who they are and knew who they were, even though I've never actually watched anything Beavis and Butthead.
Right.
I've seen small clips of it on TikTok pop up. But I've never actually watched Beavis and Butthead. So
that's why I was like, okay, it'll be funny if I watch this.
But I know who they are.
Right. I was like, okay, it'll be funny if I watch this, and I've never watched an episode of the show, and immediately, I don't like Beavis and Butthead. They're annoying. And, like, that's kind of the joke, but also it's not the joke. The thing about them is, like, their dynamic is confusing. Because, like, they're a duo, and traditionally in a duo, there is a high-status character and a low-status character. So your leader, so in the case of Tenacious D, Jack Black, JB, is your high-status character. He is the leader. But within the dynamic, and he is the, quote, smart one. Even though he's dumb, he is smarter than KG, and he is the smart one in the dynamic, right?
Isn't Beavis the high one?
Well, that's just it, right? It's confusing because like Butthead is the one who beats up Beavis all the time. He beats him up constantly. He's super mean to him, and he's super abusive. But he's also stupid.
Which one's the blonde one?
That's Beavis.
Yeah, isn't he the leader?
No. If either of them are the leader, it's Butthead, but not really. Like, it's really, their relationship is confusing because he's also stupid. So it's not like a thing of he thinks he's smart and that defines the dynamic. They're both stupid and they just laugh at dumb shit. Like, they laugh at dumb wordplay. That's not, and they laugh, like,
white privilege. I can do it because I have white privilege.
Yeah, that's a joke in this movie. Like that, it's their.
That's one of the ones I've seen pop up on TikTok, and it just made me roll my eyes.
It got old. Like the laughing every 2 seconds. It's annoying. It's just audibly annoying, aesthetically annoying. It's annoying. They're not funny. Like they're and just the fact that they don't get anything is not really all that. I didn't find it all that funny. So I don't think they're funny. I don't enjoy them. I don't think they're funny at all. That having been said, I did think this movie was funny when they weren't in it. Like, this movie is very funny when they're not in it. Like
that kind of defeats the point.
Right. So the plot of this is that they blow up their gymnasium during a science fair, and they get sentenced to go to space camp, and they wind up going to space camp, and they see. There's a lunar docking module that when it inserts, it looks like it's a penis going in a vagina, and they become obsessed with it. And they keep doing it over and over again because they think it looks like sex, and they just do it over and over and over again. And this NASA scientist comes up and sees how, like, effortlessly they're doing this over and over again, and they're like, we should have them do it. And she's like, well, how would you like to do this? Like, how would you like to do this for real? And they're like, for real? And they're like, yeah, would you in space with me? And so the entire movie, they think that this lady astronaut wants to have sex with them, and they're constantly like trying to find her. And so that she shows them all. They wind up in the spaceship. She shows them this equipment, and she's like, don't fuck with this because it'll break it. And they wind up like. It's like a telescope, and they wind up looking in it idiotically for no reason, and it blinds both of them. So then they go to dock the thing, and it destroys the spaceship. And she gets really pissed off. She realizes that they're just morons, and she's like, "Yeah, you guys are morons."
Who's the moron? The moron that did the thing, or the moron that thought the morons weren't morons?
That's what's so frustrating about these characters and about this movie is they from one moment to the next. acknowledge that these characters are the stupidest people in existence, but then there's a bit later on where they've determined that they're stupid, but the guy is still explaining a complex plan to them, and it's like, why are you doing this? You know they're idiots. Like it pulls me out of the movie immediately. And so they wind up destroying the spaceship and they get trapped in space. And there's a really funny running gag where there's this lead astronaut. She's like, I'm the lead astronaut. And she's got a co-lead guy who pops up. He's like, I'm co-lead. And she talks over him and he's like, oh okay then. And yeah, so the spaceship gets destroyed, whatever. And they wind up in space. And the whole thing is they're studying this black hole wormhole. And Beavis and Butthead wind up getting sucked into this wormhole that transports them back to the at release date of movie, present day of 2022. So they have come from 1998 to 2022, and they run into alternate universe versions of Beavis and Butthead appear from the dimension where they are the smartest version of Beavis and Butthead. And
Oh God!
they kind of look like the Watcher, Uatu. And instead of laughing, like doing the heh heh heh, instead of doing that, they go, how droll, funny, hilarious, how droll, very funny.
Okay, that's
I know.
good.
I was like, that's funny. That is funny. And so they tell Beavis and Butthead that they need to go through this portal, otherwise the whole universe is going to destroy. And Beavis and Butthead interpret that to mean that they need to find this girl and have sex with her. And now this girl is now after having, she thinks she's murdered Beavis and Butthead, and she's become a senator and a governor. I think she's the governor, and her assistant is now his deputy governor. So every time she introduces herself, he's like, "I'm the deputy governor." Okay, then. And this is this constant running gag where that happens. And yeah, so they appear, and they're like, "Oh, it might not be them," and they're like tracking them down, and they pop up at this like campaign event she's having, and she runs into one of her campaigns. She goes to one of her campaign followers. He's like, yeah, did you see these two guys? Like, confirming that it's actually Beavis and Butthead. And he's like, yeah, all they did was laugh at me. And they said, oh yeah, that's what I think it was. I can't remember exactly what it was something to the effect of, they heard my name and they wouldn't stop laughing. He's like, what's your name? And he's like, Richard Normus. And he's like, Dick Normus. And,
Dick Normus?
I'm pretty sure that's what it was, yeah. And he's like, well, I prefer Richard. And they're like, oh my God, it is them. And yeah, and so then it's them trying to basically they end up getting arrested and put in jail for crashing a cop car. I
think the reason why people enjoy Beavis and Butthead, although I think they push too far in the stupid direction, but they're the same kind of humor as like Harold and Kumar, for example, but they're dumber.
But it's not, and I'll get to why it's not just in a moment while I quickly wrap up the description of the plot of this very weird movie. So they're looking for, so there's a really funny bit where they're from 1998, smartphones don't exist, so they run into this like Swedish family or whatever, German family, and they steal their cell phone, and there's this running gag where Beavis falls in love with Siri, thinking it's the girl,
a real person.
Yeah, a real person. Yeah, and yeah, there's a lot of really cringy. Like you already referenced it. There's a bit where they wind up they go to university, and they wind up at a gender studies class, and it's like the teacher being like,
white privilege. We have white privilege.
You guys probably have rich and powerful uncles, and you have white privilege in this, and there's a lesbian looking chick with short hair, and so. It's really funny because we got a comment on one of our videos about King of the Hill where they were like, oh, King of the Hill is just written by liberal phonies. And I don't think it is, because this movie does that like, oh, college kids are just like woke whatever kind of humor, like really lazy, like, oh, I'm a gender studies student, and you can't say that because it's not PC kind of humor, that lazy kind of right-wing style of humor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that. It's like it's a really cringy joke. So the basically the senator and then a bunch of government CIA guys are looking after Beavis and Butthead because the CIA guys think that they're aliens who have come through an alien portal, and it all culminates in the assistant guy tries to help them escape, and they're like, no, we don't want to escape, because if we escape, she won't be able to find us and have sex with us. Score, as how they put it. We won't be able to score, as how they put it. And so it gets to the end where they're kidnapped, and the government agency, they realize they all want to kill Beavis and Butthead. And it's finally revealed that they just want to have sex with her. And she's like, oh, so you're not out to get me. It just turns out you're just dumb, horny teenagers.
I mean, they are out to get her, just not like that.
Yeah, and she's like, if I have sex with you, will that basically fix this? And they're like, yeah. And then they're called Smart Beavis and Butthead. They show up again, and they're like, oh, if you have to go through the portal now. If you don't go through the portal now, the entire universe will collapse. And the assistant guy's like, no, I'm standing up to you. You two are going to stay here in 2022 and be witnesses to her murder trial for all the crimes she did. We're going to prevent all the crimes. And he gets sucked into the portal, and the portal collapses, and everything is totally fine. And they're like, oh, it turns out we were wrong about that, because even though we are, in fact, the smartest Beavis and Butthead in the infinite multiverse, we are, in fact, still Beavis and Butthead. And I'm like, okay, that's also funny. And then, so then the movie ends with the girl inevitably ends up going off with the entire movie, Beavis has been trying to tell Siri, who he thinks is this girl, that he's in love with her. And it ends with he's about to tell her that he's in love with her, and the smart Beavis walks up and is like, no, I love you, I've been watching you from whatever. They wind up getting together, and the movie ends with them in front of the council of the Beavis and Buttheads, and it's an entire, like that scene in Ant-Man 3 where it's all the Kangs, but it's all different Beavis and Buttheads, like all different versions of Beavis and Buttheads, and they're like, as the one Beavis in all of the multiverse who scored, we congratulate you. And he's like,
sounds stupid.
After you scored, she didn't call you, but that's fine. And there's the funniest alternate version of Beavis and Butthead is there's a version of Beavis and Butthead where they're swapped, where Butthead is Beavis and Beavis is Butthead. But that led me to I had
So
to.
it's Butthead and Beavis.
Right? Yeah. But he's Butthead, but he looks like Beavis. He's got the blonde hair.
That's trippy.
Yeah. So obviously I watched this movie. I'm like, the movie was funny. Like, I enjoyed the movie and I did laugh. I laughed out loud a lot. But it was always jokes from other characters who weren't Beavis and Butthead. Like, they were annoying. Like, they were so annoying. Like, when they were on screen for longer than a minute, I was getting annoyed and I hated it. So obviously that made me want to watch the show. So I tried to watch the show on Paramount Plus, and they don't have all of the episodes. So I watched 3 episodes, and the show's bad. Like, it's really bad. Like, most of it. Okay, number one, it was on MTV. So most of the show is Beavis and Butthead reacting to music videos, but like, they don't say anything particularly insightful. It's usually just them doing the stupid laughs. Or like, one of the episodes was literally just at a point they're just singing the song. And it's like, they're not really jokes. Like, they're not really saying jokes. And it's interspliced between the first episode that I watched. And this is like season 4. So the show is well into its run at this point. But it's like, they go to this farm and they tip a cow. They push the cow over, and then the Beavis gets trapped underneath the cow. And then the farmer shows up, and he's like, stop violating my cow and fucking with my cow. And he pulls out a chainsaw, and he's like, well, this is going to be messy. And he starts to go to chainsaw Beavis, and then the episode just kind of ends.
It sounds like this show has always been bad, and people didn't have a good sense of humor at any point in time.
Right? Like, I don't understand what the appeal is. Like this of this show. Like, other than like, the only appeal I can see to it is it was on at like midnight, and you were stoned as balls, And
nothing better was
and
on.
yeah, you would just watch them watch music videos. But yeah, it's like most of the show is just them reacting to music videos, which makes sense when and most of the music videos were songs I'd never heard of, which kind of like makes sense when like MTV is relevant and people actually used to watch music videos on TV. I could see maybe like stoners at 2 a.m. watching this, but like
Before video killed the radio star.
maybe like I don't. Well, this was when TV killed the radio star. You mean TikTok killed the MTV star?
TikTok killed the video star. I meant.
But like, yeah, I think what perplexes me about it, because I watched 3 episodes of the show and I felt dumber and stupider for having watched it.
And you were.
The reason why I think it bothers me that the show is so bad and these characters are annoying and awful is it's the same guy who makes King of the Hill, and I think King of the Hill, like the big thing with Beavis and Butthead is like they're fundamentally unlikable and stupid and annoying, and nobody likes them. Like they're unappealing in every regard. They're not very funny, and their sense of humor is juvenile.
And that's what everyone likes about them, apparently.
Mike Judge, same guy, writes King of the Hill. Like at their worst, like even the worst character on that show has a redeemable quality. Like I think Bill Dauterive is awful. He's an awful person, but like he at least has redeemable qualities where you're like, okay, there's episodes where I sympathize with him. Maybe there are with Beavis and Butthead, but based upon the hour and a half movie I watched and part of the show I watched, they seem reprehensible. So I just don't get how someone who can write like such decently smart satire and funny shit. But also, again, the characters who aren't Beavis and Butthead in that movie legit made me laugh. So yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't understand why this has 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. I really don't. Other than you're right, every person who reviewed it, that probably has like 12 reviews of, because this was a straight to Paramount Plus thing, who have nostalgia for Beavis and Butthead.
Yep, they're the only people who took the time to watch it.
Because like
I will say though, considering that the guy who did Beavis and Butthead did King of the Hill, kind of surprised Beavis and Butthead never showed up on King of the Hill.
Right. I will also say I did also watch some of, because I think either before or after this movie, but fairly recently they got brought back. They got brought back for a new season, and it's completely different than the original show. Like it doesn't have the music video reactions in it really, and Butthead is in my estimation way too smart. Like he's like way too smart. It felt off. It was weird. But yeah, I don't like those characters. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's not for me. But also I'm probably gonna watch the first movie another time. Just be like, just one of these has to be good. That's it. That's Beavis.
I understand.
That's Beavis and Butthead. Why is it 97% on Rotten Tomatoes? Bizarre. It's hard to believe we talked about Beavis and Butthead and Grave of the Fireflies in the same episode. What is this episode?
Chaos. Pure chaos. And the Lego Movie.
And the Lego Movie. Entirely pure chaos.
So, in 2022, a movie called The First Slam Dunk came out. Can I give you a specific date? December 3rd, 2022.
Is it about slam dunking?
It is about basketball, yes. And slam dunking is done in it.
Is someone very tall in it? Is there an incredibly tall man?
It's a high school team, but yes. For Japanese people, yes.
All right.
This movie won the Japan Academy Prize for Animation of the Year.
Oh yeah, that's basically their Oscars.
It grossed $279 million worldwide. It's the 6th highest grossing Japanese film and the highest grossing basketball film of all time.
So the highest grossing of any basketball film, including live action?
It just says of all time.
Huh. Really? But what about Space Jam? Or
it just says of all time. I'm just reading what it says here on the Wikipedia page.
White Man Can't Jump.
Highest grossing basketball film of all time. That's what it says.
This is off Wikipedia?
This is off of Wikipedia. Take it with a grain of salt, if you will. You can look it up yourself. I'm not going to. Ain't nobody got time for that.
It feels like it's not true.
So this movie is based off of a manga series. It's based off of a manga series called Slam Dunk.
That makes sense.
And so, as I understand it, synopsis. Film follows the one character, the point guard, Ryota Miyagi, and you're watching a basketball game where they're fighting against the inter-high basketball champion. So they're going up against the champion of all the high schools in the area, and over the course of the movie, it goes from team member to team member on the up and coming team, and you see a few of their what brought them to where they are, basically.
Their backstories,
if you will. And so the film is apparently adapting the final match depicted in the manga.
Gotcha.
And it features original flashbacks and a new epilogue. So that's what makes it different from the original.
Is there like a series that's based off of this, like an anime series, like a show?
So that's where when I click on the Slam Dunk manga series, I thought I saw that there was one.
It's gonna be like a hardcore Slam Dunk fan coming in the comments, like, yeah, there's like a 500 episode manga series or anime series. Episodes?
Well, it's a weekly Shonen Jump one.
Oh, sure,
so I feel like there must be, because apparently it was serialized in Shueisha's Shonen magazine weekly Shonen Jump from October 1990 to June 1996. It had 31 volumes in the manga.
I know that.
So here it is. Manga was adapted into an anime television series by Toei.
Gotcha. And so is it the series, the TV series after the movie, or is the movie the pilot for the series?
Oh no, the movie that I watched is like way later. The anime would have been out in like the 90s.
Gotcha.
This is basically it takes the final match of the manga and adds new scenes and adds new stuff.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at is, like, in the show, would they have done a show version of this movie?
I don't understand what you're saying.
So you said there was an anime show, and then you've watched the movie. So did the movie come first, or did the show come first?
Show came first.
And so the show is an adaptation of the manga as well?
Yes.
So
as far as I can tell.
So if I watched the show, would it have the same stuff from the movie, but like longer?
I assume so. I have no idea. I didn't watch the show.
So like comparatively, you know how like they did the Battle of the Gods and then they did the Battle of the Gods on the show? So is this the movie version of the show, I guess is what I'm...
I think it's more supposed to... Yes and no, if I had to guess. There would probably be similar things, but like it says very specifically that it adapts the final match. So like the very final match from the manga. It's all building up. The entire manga is building up to this final championship fight.
Gotcha.
And we're watching that in this movie. And the flashbacks that we see in this movie don't happen in the manga or the anime. Gotcha. They're made specifically for... So yes, in terms of the match itself, yes.
Or is it like
everything else, no.
Or is it like the show never did the final match in the manga, and then there's like you watch the show and then you get to the final episode of the show, and the show's like, go watch the movie to see this the
Well, no, again, the manga and the anime came out in the 90s. This came out in 2022.
Oh, okay. So then probably this is more of an adaptation of the show.
So this is an adaptation, not of the show, of the manga. This is an adaptation.
No, what I'm saying though is
the show has nothing to do with this, Justin.
Yes, but is it if it's an adaptation of the manga, then what I'm saying is the show an alternate ending to this, or is this an alternate, like, are they the same ending?
I don't know. I didn't watch the show.
I know, but that's what I'm asking you.
I don't know. I didn't watch the show. I couldn't tell you what the show is like.
Does it say though in your?
It just says that when I read the movie thing, it's an adaptation. That's all it says. It's an adaptation of the manga. The other thing is also an adaptation of the manga. I don't think this is made by the same person that made the show.
Gotcha.
It's just another adaptation.
Gotcha.
Like it's not like Dragon Ball where they were both made by Akira Toriyama. I don't think this is made by the same people at all. The animation style, looking at the two, is completely different. This has sections which are in 3D. Like when they're doing the actual battle and like the actual basketball match, it's in like a weird hybrid 2D 3D thing. Some of the parts are in straight 2D Japanese animation, but the battle itself, like the basketball match itself, is a distinctly different animation style from the rest of the movie.
Basketball battle.
It feels like a battle. The music, I will say, I got into it. Like when they're doing the actual basketball match stuff, they've got some rockin' music which really amps the scenes and makes it like it kicks it up to 11, so to speak. It's fun. I had a good time with this one, and after Grave of the Fireflies, this was exactly the uplifted, highlighted thing that I needed.
I imagine them winning the basketball game at the end, as opposed to they all die horribly of dysentery with deflated basketballs.
I mean, it was, yeah. That being said, like I said, some of the backstory stuff is sad and serious. Like the main characters,
right uplifting.
Exactly. Like the main character's brother was the one who was originally really into basketball, and he dies, and that's what kind of like this. The main character, it gets more into basketball as a result, right? So like that's sad, but that's not Grave of the Fireflies sad.
No, that's not a little girl dies of horrible dysentery.
You can keep saying it, Justin. It's not going to make it any less sad.
I mean, it's pretty sad. What happened to?
But yeah,
what happened to that?
So yeah, I'm guessing in the manga, for one thing, there's probably more scenes of seeing the older brother play basketball before he dies an untimely death.
Probably.
There's probably more games against other teams where they play basketball against other teams.
Likely.
Instead of just immediately being in a match with the grand champions. Because yeah, there's a scene where it's a flashback and we see one of the guys on the team is looking at the magazine where it has the champions that in present time they're having a match against, and he's like, he writes in the magazine like in 5 years or whatever they're going down, as he's talking to his little cousin. So like I can see where there would be more.
Yeah.
Like I can understand how there was obviously more and more backstory and more depth and stuff, but not having watched any of that, I didn't feel like it was missing. I enjoyed it. I think it's I had very nice things to say, and I can understand why it's liked. I would recommend it.
All right.
But I did find it funny though that the and I think I messaged this to you when I was watching it. I always, for whatever reason, when I see like a sad thing, I expect the sad thing to be the longer thing.
Yeah, I know.
So
right?
like I would have expected Grave of the Fireflies, the serious war-torn, like serious movie, to be like the 2-hour one, and the basketball one to be like an hour and a half. And this was 2 hours. This was
2 hours is long for anime.
This was an hour and 24 or 124 minutes. So yeah, just shy.
About Summer Wars, where I'm like, that movie feels really long.
And so, but also it does feel long. But also, when you realize that it's based on a manga and they cut a lot out,
True.
I understand why it's 2 hours.
True, it's true.
That's all I really have to say about this one. There's no super like standout names for voice cast that make me feel worth mentioning.
No, there wouldn't be. So my final one. Initially, my final one was, as previously I mentioned, going to be Seven Samurai, and then I realized I didn't have a ton to say about Seven Samurai, and I had way more to say about this next one, because, I wanted to swap out. I think I already said this, Terminator and 8th Grade, so I needed another one, and I was looking through the list, and we had previously discussed this movie last week, and that is the live-action Disney Channel original movie, Kim Possible. Has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. And we talked about this last week with Haley. I heard it was bad. I heard it was a very bad movie. So that perplexed me. I was like, how is that possible? But I was like, whatever. Maybe it isn't bad. So I watched it. And it's bad. It's really bad. But the thing is, Jordan, you kind of have to separate. You have to kind of put it where it is. So it's bad in spite of the fact that it's a Disney Channel original movie. So like all of my criticisms, I was 1,000 times more forgiving of this because it's a Disney Channel original movie. It doesn't have the budget of a theatrical movie, so the fact that the special effects look cheap are not its fault. The fact that some of the action looks bad, it's not its fault. The fact that some of the acting is not very good is not its fault. It's the fundamental like misunderstanding of Kim Possible that makes this bad. So this thing it doesn't really have much of a plot, but basically it's sort of a prequel to the series, sort of not. It's after she's already kind of established herself as being Kim Possible, the girl who can do everything, but it's before she's about to go to school. So she's about to start high school, and she's worried about having to be perfect all the time in high school. And she goes to high school, and her first day at high school does go badly. And in the meantime, Dr. Draken and Shigo are around getting up to shenanigans.
As they do.
As they do. And there's Kim Possible runs into this girl who's having a bad day, and they become friends, and quite suddenly this girl gets all the attention and becomes popular, and Kim Possible and Ron take her on a mission, and she's dressed perfectly in this perfect Kim Possible outfit, and she's like perfect, and everyone loves her, and nobody likes Kim, and it fundamentally misunderstands Kim Possible. Like, if you like, I grew up watching Kim Possible, and I never once in my life said, you know what would make Kim Possible more interesting? If she was insecure about her ability. Like, that's the one thing about Kim Possible, is she's not insecure about her ability.
No, Ron is.
Ron is. And the other thing with this movie is the guy they've got playing Ron, he's trying to be like the cartoon, which is at odds with her trying to be more grounded. Because insecurity makes it more grounded. It's an example of what works in cartoon doesn't necessarily work in live action. Like, at a point, Rufus, the naked mole rat, shows up, and because he's a naked mole rat, looks upsetting. Like, he just looks upsetting. It doesn't look cute. Because naked mole rats in real life
don't look cute.
Like, they kind of do, but not really.
Much like hairless cat, any hairless thing looks weird.
Right, yeah, exactly. And it for whatever reason, despite the fact that it's a Disney Channel original movie, suffers, and being that much closer to the show, still suffers from the needing to explain shit that the show never needed to explain. So, like, the reason why Rufus, like, in the original show, Rufus is just a pet that Ron gets from a pet store because he can't have a cat or dog. Whereas in this, then you need to explain why Rufus is smart. So they find him in a lab where he's being experimented on, and that's why he's smart. There are some fun cameos. Christy Carlson Romano shows up as one of the people who gives Kim Possible a ride, who owes her a favor.
Oh yeah.
The guy who plays Patton Oswalt, he plays Dr. Dementor in the show. He's there as Dr. Dementor in the beginning. In a sequence that's confusing. Like, she beats him, and there's he's got a doctor kidnapped who looks like Dr. Draken. So it seems like they're setting up like, oh, this is Dr. Draken's origin. Like, this is why he's blue, because he's about to fall into this like blue goo. And the movie almost makes it look like, oh, it's like a Joker thing. He's the Joker. That's why he hates Kim Possible, because he fell into this goo. But then it's like, no, this doctor isn't Dr. Draken. He's just a random doctor. I had to look it up. No, it's a completely different actor, completely different character. Dr. Draken does show up. He's been in prison for a while, and Shigo breaks him out of prison, and he implies that he went to prison. Like, he had an evil island that Kim Possible beat him and the authorities took, and that's why he's in jail. So it almost implies that this is a sequel to a story we never saw. The only character that's any good is the girl who plays Shigo. She's nailing it. Some of the special effects on Shigo, like the fireball hands, look okay. Like, they look kind of okay. They look okay for a Disney Channel original movie. But this movie feels like it was a theatrical movie that got like rewritten.
Got it?
Yeah, which it is. Like apparently there was a they were gonna do a theatrical movie, and they rewrote they didn't use the script and they repurposed this one for it. So yeah, that's what it is, and that's what it feels like. Because there's a lot of that stuff of her feeling insecure. It feels like, because spoiler alert, you find out that the girlfriend that she's made is actually a robot who's been programmed to portray Kim and steal her ability. And the whole thing is Draken's secret evil plan is like Kim Possible has a spark that he's trying to steal. But the movie is unclear as to if it's like a legitimate like energy or if it's like metaphorical. And so like this girl is slowly stealing Kim Possible's ability. But again, the movie's not clear as to whether or not it's
she's stealing her mojo,
pretty
baby.
much, yeah. And it feels like at one point that's what the movie was about her slowly like losing her ability to be Kim Possible and you figuring out why. But they cut that, and so in the end, it turns out that this girl is evil, and she's stealing Kim Possible's ability. But the Draken's plan is the robot has to go into Draken's mind swapping or mind absorbing machine, so he can absorb the Kim Possible energy from the robot instead of him just stealing the energy from Kim Possible. So it feels like there was an additional subplot or something that was cut out of an initial script, if that makes any sense.
It sounds bad, Justin.
It is. It's very bad. And what else did they fuck up? The guy who plays Draken has clearly never watched an episode of the show. It ends with it has the audacity to end on a cliffhanger where they beat Dr. Draken and the machine backfires and he gets turned into a kid. And now Team Possible is Ron, the robot girl, and Kim. And this character that's not in the show at all, never been in the show, is now part of the main trio.
It's just screaming. It's just screaming Drake Bell live action.
Absolutely, they clearly thought this was going to do well because it ends with Draken is now a kid and he is infiltrating. He's covered up the blue on his face with makeup. And she goes pretending to be his mom and is dropping him off at Kim Possible's school. And he's like acting as though he's a kid who skipped several grades, which is a plan that doesn't really make any sense because Kim knows what he looks like. She saw him get turned into a kid.
So it's just that one where they're just doing that movie where Dr. Draken, the kilt wearing one, and Monkey Fu are turned into kids and are in preschool with Kim Possible.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. It's just, and then
they did that. It was in the cartoon.
And then the movie just kind of it ends with the clear expectation that this was going to do well because it's Kim Possible and that they were going to make a sequel. Like they're aching for a sequel or a series of these because they were clearly cheap to make. But yeah, I was just like the entire time I was like, maybe if this went to theaters and got a budget and some effort was put into this, like maybe this would be better. But yeah, so obviously I finished watching this and I'm like, this is horrid. It's got like a 26% audience score or something like that. Like this is bad. Like even for a Disney Channel original movie, this is bad. Why does this?
And that got 100.
Well, yeah. So like, why did this get 100? It has 7 reviews, Jordan. 7 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, all of which are mildly positive. 2 of which aren't even accredited. They don't have Rotten Tomatoes accreditation, so they're not even official Rotten Tomatoes. So their review doesn't even impact the Rotten Tomatoes score. So that's why it has 100%, because like 4 guys all said it was good. They're like, oh yeah, it has the energy of the original show. Which the one good scene in the movie is they do the theme song. Like they do a shot for shot remake of the theme song with the guy as Ron doing like he does the bit where he shoots the
grapple gun.
Yeah, the grapple gun, and it pulls off his pants. But it's one of those things where the minute you make it live action, it doesn't work anymore because you start questioning the reality of it. So like she walks around with a necklace that instead of having weight on like a handheld communicator that looks like it was like like it looks like it's a handheld computer that is believable that Wade could reprogram or whatever to be a communicator. It's now a holographic AR necklace that projects an image of him everywhere they go. And she talks to him like constantly, and she does all the thinking for him. And it's like, how did they make that? That is unrealistic technology. I don't understand where that came from. Or you're like, wait, why are her parents letting her do this incredibly dangerous thing? What
on a school night?
On a school night, and also the Allison Hannigan is the mom, and the at the end of it, they all go to fight Drac, and the mom, the grandma, and they're like, we're gonna go stop Drac, and the dad's like, I'll just wait here, and then he just stays home. It's very bizarre. It's very strange. So yeah.
Okay, then.
So yeah. So 100%. A high score on Rotten Tomatoes is meaningless. That's the lesson of the week.
Any score on Rotten Tomatoes is meaningless.
It's fairly meaningless. Read the individual reviews. Don't look at the aggregate score because it's meaningless. Both the
Judge for yourself.
Judge for yourself. But also a lot of times when it says it's bad, it's usually bad.
Judge for yourself.
Next week. That's it. That's
next week on Game Theory.
That was wrong on a number of levels. Next week on the show, assignment for next week, we're bringing back martial arts. We're doing martial arts part 2 because me and Jordan are gonna go watch the new Karate Kid movie. Because you know you're probably thinking, Justin, Jordan, are you gonna do Lilo and Stitch? No. We'd much rather go watch the new Karate Kid movie that I hear is actually good. Not
until it comes out on Disney Plus, and I can watch it on streaming like God intended.
So yeah, I want to watch a bunch more Jackie Chan movies. I'm gonna probably watch Cobra Kai finally. I'm gonna rewatch the original Karate Kid. I realize I have to do the Raid 2. I promised I'd do the Raid 2. Oh, I forgot before we wrap up the show. I forgot a comment response at the beginning I meant to do. We'll do real quickly here. Jake, this is in a response to our Goofy movie, my Goofy movie theory that, or my statement that none of the other characters have had a full theatrical movie. He pointed out The Three Caballeros is a Donald Duck theatrical movie. And I went devil's advocate. I would argue that's an ensemble piece.
I also think, because I saw that comment, and I was going to type out a response, and then I was like, we'll probably talk about it on here. I also think that while technically, yes, maybe it ended up in theaters, I kind of, and this is maybe semantics, but I kind of put that more in the camp of like, yeah, all those old cartoons used to be in the theaters as well. That doesn't mean they were theatrical movies.
True. My pushback to the
like it gives more like special.
Yeah.
Whereas a Goofy movie gives like plot driven theatrical movie.
That movie doesn't really. I would argue, we'll have to get Jake here one time to disagree with me on this, but I don't think that movie really has a narrative. That movie's really more about teaching Donald about Mexico than it is a narrative. Like I was saying, that's why I say had a narrative movie about them. And even if you want to say Donald went to theaters, Mickey definitely has it. Mickey has not had a theatrical movie.
That's why I say for that one, I say like special.
Yeah.
Like the in terms of a movie, the closest thing that I could maybe see the argument for, because I had this thought is, in a lot of ways that the Three Caballero reminds me of Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
But that's me being generous.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was I see your point. Well, we'll do a thing where we discuss.
We'll have to have him on to debate it.
But yeah, that's anyway. Martial arts next week. Me and Jordan are gonna go watch the new Karate Kid. That's coming next week. Jordan, where can the people find you?
I do Minecraft Monday on Twitch. Zethgore187 is my Twitch. And also on the weekends, I'm here and I talk about this stuff with you. And sometimes other people.
It's true. I am on Tiki Talks, Justin Spurr. The show, Spurr the Month Peas on TikTok. You can email the show. It's Justin's business if you want to sponsor. You can follow the Patreon. You can join the Discord. That's fun. Leave us a comment. I realized last week that I kind of want to do an end card slate from now on. So that I'm gonna put the end card on, and you can click the previous episode of the podcast on the left. That's gonna be the what did we do last week?
We had Haley's picks last week.
Haley's picks last week. Yeah, you can click that, and then on the right hand side is gonna be a random video that any video you can watch on YouTube. Hit subscribe if you can, if you could, if you would, if you want. Leave us a like on this video. People have been subscribing off the back of the actual podcast episodes. That's fucking rad. Really appreciate that.
And remember to go check out our link to Amazon, or to
yes.
Audible, rather.
We have videos on this channel 5 days a week. So actually, really, at this point, we have videos on this channel 7 days a week. So if you can't watch the entire podcast, we get it. Click. There's got to be something on here for you. Leave us leave us subscribe, comment in the comment section what you thought of any of the movies that we watched this week. We are gonna see you guys next week.